Good afternoon and welcome to day number 6 of USA Cycling's Elite Junior and now Para Track Cycling Championships here at the VELO Sports Center in Los Angeles, California. My name is Gabe Lloyd. I'm joined by Alfred Nash up here in the announcer's booth, and we're very excited to get this program underway. Today on tap, we've got standing 500-meter time trials for both the for our women and the standing kilo effort for our men. We'll then move into some junior 500 and kilo efforts. Then we'll have some para efforts on track. We'll have a C1 through 3 and C1 through 5 scratch race, and then a C4-5 scratch race. We'll round out today's programming with the women's and men's elite points races. Alfred, how's our morning session been going, and what are you looking forward to today?
Well, I'm really looking forward to the women's 15-18. We had an American record in that event, and as well as that big points race at the end of the program this evening. The men had to qualify, and those qualifying heats were fast and furious. Several riders with points didn't qualify for the racing this evening, so definitely very tough competition to get into the points race at all. We'll see if that affects anyone in the racing this evening.
So there are actually a few riders who scored points and they did not make it into the actual feature. Wow.
Yeah, they actually had 5 points and did not qualify for the final with a 6 sprint qualifying race.
Wow, that's incredible. So here at Nationals, not enough just to score points in a points race qualification event. You actually had to get, it sounds like, at least 6, or at least be in the top results at the end if you only had 5 points. That's pretty incredible to show the standard by which we are running races here for our elite men's points races all week long. The past few sessions for our elite men have been absolutely fantastic. A lot of top level racing here. Daniel Holloway, Adrian Hedgevery, and Gavin Hoover at the front of those fields doing a lot of great work. Hoover with an outstanding Omnium a few nights ago, and then last night we saw Holloway and Hedgevery with a very commanding win in the Madison. So we'll be looking for all 3 of those athletes and maybe some new antagonists in the points races this evening for our elite men.
Yeah, we're also going to have the sprinters up. They're going to be actually the first ones up, including the women's and men's elite time trial. By the way, we need Heather Gray in the ready area. She'll be up in the 3rd heat. We've also got our reigning national champions in the time trial in both men and women, trying to defend their titles against a lot of very fast newcomers.
These time trial efforts are always so interesting. They're so much more challenging than they would appear to be, right? You look at your start sheet and you're like, 2 laps, I could do that. And then you get out there and you try to do it yourself and you're like, oh my goodness, I don't think I can do this. So hats off to everybody out here who is going after these records. Looks like our American record holder, Mandy Marquardt, qualified fastest today. She almost got within her American record time this morning. She qualified with a 34.8, the American record being 34.0. So it sounds like a clean start here for Janelli Prieto from Miami, Florida. Remember, Janelli's now running the velodrome down there in Miami, so if you are listening to our live stream and seeing Janelli out there, be sure you cheer for her if you're at home. And if you're here in the VELO Sports Center, you guys are welcome to help get Janelli to the line. She's got 1 lap to go here for her first effort. She qualified into this event after this morning. Let's see if she can improve upon her time, which was 39.1 this morning. Trying to get on top of that gear. She comes through 3. We'll get a little, see her with a half a lap to go here. She comes to the finish line, lactic acid buildup, and Janelli sets her time with 39.0, a smidge faster than this morning.
So she'll have set the time to beat. This is a timed final. Whichever rider has the fastest time goes home with the national championship. Second fastest time goes home with the silver. Third fastest bronze. It doesn't matter which heat they did it from, as long as they qualified to get here to the finals. We had several riders that did not in earlier qualifying. Right now we've got heat number 2, rider 423, Ivy Coster out of Los Angeles, California. Coster, bronze medalist in the Kieran last night. This is a standing start as opposed to a flying start that you get in the Kieran.
Sounds like clean starts. For those of you tuning in on the live stream, apologize for the silence here, but we don't want to be interfering with the starts of our athletes, as what we are saying is also broadcast here in the VELO Sports Center. So for those of you at home, we'll just bear with us as we see our beginning. But we got one lap to go here for Ivy Coster. She comes up and around. She'd love to get herself on the podium again today after a podium finish last night, as Alfred was talking about. You know, she's looking like she's ahead of the time there of Prito as she comes through. Let's see what the new fast time will be.
So a new best time, 37.327. Quite a bit faster than she was this morning. She was faster at the 500 and, sorry, at the 250 and the 500. So a good time from Ivy Coster. See how that places her as we continue to go on now to heat number 3. Rider number 421, Heather Gray, U.S. Military Endurance Sports out of Pueblo West, Colorado. Brian Abers there actually taping the shoes to the pedals.
Sounds like a clean start here for your rider from the military academy, as she's up on top. Heather Gray in that silver helmet. We saw her for 1 week in T-Town this summer. Let's see if that time pays off here at Nationals. A little high out of the sprinter's lane in turn 3 with 1 lap to go. Let's see if she can clean up that line, get on top of this gear. She qualified ahead of Ivy this morning. Let's see if she can set a new fast time. Time to beat right now is 37.32. She's trying to find that right line, though. She's a little up and down the track as she comes through the final gear here. What's that new fast time, Alfred?
New best time, 37.496, faster than she was this morning. She got there by getting out really quickly in that first 250 meters compared to how she qualified this morning. We're going to move on now to heat number 4 of 8, rider number 418, Marcy Bartman of Edge Cycling out of Bondurant, Wyoming.
So Ivy Coster still your fastest time with the 37.3. Gray into second with 37.4. Prito currently in bronze position with 39.0. This is Bartman, though her start list does say she's from Wyoming, which is where her family lives. She's actually attending Lehigh University in the Lehigh Valley, pursuing a civil engineering degree, learning how to build highways, actually. This would be Bartman. She actually came up through the Lehigh Valley, the Valley Preferred Cycling Center's Bicycle Racing League and Air Products program. So long time on the track for Bartman, even though she's still just starting college. Sounds like a clean start here for Marcy as she gets on top of this gear. Marcy's had a pretty good national so far, making it into minor finals of some of our other sprint events. Bartman, though, going to try to hit it out here. She did this event in T-Town a few weeks ago. It went fairly well for her as a nice preparation for what's happening right now with 1 to go. Let's get those splits. She's a little bit behind where Ivy was at this point in the race. Let's see if she can bring it back, though, in the final lap with a half a lap remaining. She's still a smidge off. If she can finish up strong with a nice ride through the sprinters lane here, maybe we'll see a new fast time here by Marcy, and we'll get that time from Alfred.
Okay, third fastest so far with a 37.538. She was out much faster than she was this morning in the first lap. May have paid for it in the second lap. As we move on now to heat number 5, rider 427, Kira Maximovich, performance cycle coaching out of San Jose, California. This is our 4th fastest qualifier in heat number 5 of 8. Men time trialists, you may proceed to bike check. Men time trialists, please proceed to bike check.
Sounds like Maximovich has a clean start here as well. She's now on top of this gear. Now the time to beat is still Ivy Kester, the 37.32. Our scoring boards here in the VELO Sports Center will show us whether she's up or down. Currently, she's down by half a second off the pace of Kester. Here's your bell. Let's see how this rolls here. Kester still ahead by over half a second at this point. So Maximovich really has to bring this home a lot faster than where she started if she wants to get herself into the gold medal position. She'll hopefully also be fighting for a podium spot here right now. Maximovich coming out of 4. And let's get her time. I believe it's a new fast one, Alfred.
That's right, new best time. She rode it the same way she did this morning, holding back a little bit at the beginning and then coming on strong in the back half. She was the 4th fastest starter so far, but then the fastest on the second lap to end up fastest overall.
Right, so new time by Maximovich, 37.298. Just a little bit ahead of Kester with the 37.327.
So on track now, heat 6, 424, Keely Cortman, performance cycle coaching of Tustin, California. Once again, time final, fastest becomes national champion.
All right, Cortman with a clean start here. We're no stranger to Cortman on the track as she has made it into medal rounds so far in our match sprints and in our Kierans. Let's see if she's got some raw power left in the legs here on our Sunday. She's got the new current fastest split here at the first quarter lap. Let's see if she can hold on here. With 1 lap to go, she's a 1/10 of a second in front of Maximovich. As we come into half a lap to go, that new split now, she continues now almost half a second ahead of Maximovich. Here comes Cortman out of turn 4. Let's see if she can hold on for a new fast time.
And she does. New best time. Faded a little bit at the end with the 5th fastest second lap, but she was, sorry, 3rd fastest on the second lap. But she finishes in a 36.667 to take first place with 2 riders to go. So she has just ridden herself onto the podium. The question is which step?
2 riders remaining are Don Orwick, who will be coming up to track right now, and we'll finish out with Mandy Marquardt.
Once again, we need men at bike check. Your event is next. Don Orwick, the bronze medalist last year, rider 428, Hammer Racing Team presented by Thorne out of Westminster, Colorado.
All right, clean start here for Orwick. Don Orwick on track right now. As Alfred said, she's the defending bronze medalist. She'd love to improve upon that, get herself a U.S. national title here. She's going to have to hit a really fast split, though. She's a little off on the first 250 meters. Let's see if she can wind this up, though. Still a lap to go here for Orwick. Trying to get on top of the gear. She's only 0.03 of a second now at this point off the pace. If she can stay on top and wind up a large gear that she's got on the bike, now she's ahead by 0.06 of a second. Margins matter here. Every pedal stroke counts here at the VELO Sports Center. Alfred, what is that time?
Second fastest so far for Don Orwick with a 36.719. So Cortman looking good for the silver, Orwick perhaps the bronze, as we bring up our reigning national champion from last year in this event and national champion in the sprints and the Kierans in this championships, rider 426, your American record holder, Mandy Marquardt.
Taking both the match sprints and the Kierans in our current 2019 games. Marquardt has had a fantastic season so far. She's also won one UCI event this summer at the Valley Preferred Cycling Center. Let's see if she can add another U.S. title to her collection today in this standing 500. All right, it's a clean start here from Mandy. She's trying to get on top of this big gear that she's running. Let's see how her intermediate splits pan out as your Mandy Marquardt from Allentown, Pennsylvania, using T-Town as her home. So she's 0.3 of a second off the pace right now for 5th, but she's going to get on top of this gear, come home strong with 1 lap to go. She's now 0.1 of a second up. Marquardt has the speed now. Can she hold it all the way to the line? Marquardt now 0.8 of a second up on top of the gear. Can she get a new American record here at the VELO Sports Center coming to the line? Alfred, what are we looking at?
We're looking at a new best time in your national champion, Mandy Marquardt, with a 35.021. Second off of her time set at altitude, no surprise there, but a national championship none the same. Cortman takes the silver, Orwick the bronze. Let's have a big round of applause for all of our women's elite time trial finalists.
Strong there ride there by Marquardt. This is a tough day here. This track a little cooler, and it is at sea level than Aguascalientes, where you're hot and high. So times they're generally going to be a little faster, and that's where Marquardt set her record of 34.0 back in 2016.
So we're getting started now with the men's elite time trial. Heat number 1, rider 550, Bryant Lopez Cepero, U.S. Military Endurance Sports, Colorado Springs, Colorado.
All right, strong start here. Clean start as well. He's out of the gate, number 550, Bryant Lopez Cepero, your ninth fastest qualifier from this morning. Let's see how he goes. Of course, he's going to set the current time standard as the first rider. Let's hopefully see him set a fast time for himself, improving upon his initial qualification from this morning. He's coming around, seeing half a lap to go, sitting at about 47 kilometers per hour right now. If he can stay on top of this gear, stay low in the sprinter's lane, he should be able to hold on to his time. And one more to go here with our men, and he's going to continue on here. He's trying to stay on top with the kilo efforts, not our 500s for our men. There is his bell, and he's only getting on top of that gear a little bit more, sitting at nearly 52 kilometers per hour as he comes up and around. Nice time splits. His speeds are very consistent, but it looks like those legs are turning to mush here as we get to the final few meters. And there is your first time.
So Lopez Cepero finishes with a 1:09.483. A little bit slower than he was in qualifying this morning. Now going on to heat number 2 of 9, rider 525, Spencer Sedgebrook of St. Louis, Missouri.
All right, sounds like Spencer Sedgebrook has a clean start here. Coming out of the gate for these kilo efforts. American record by Erik Young, 1:04, set at Aguascalientes as well. And that was only set in 2018. So we'll see if Young can improve upon that today. Meanwhile, on track right now, Sedgebrook up on the time standards set earlier by Lopez just a few minutes ago. 0.3 of a second advantage right now. It's still 2.5 laps remaining. Let's see if he can stay on top of the gear for this kilo effort.
Going out a little bit faster than he did this morning. See if he can hang on to it on the back side. It's easy to go out fast in a kilo. It's hard to bring it home fast.
Absolutely right. Once that lactic acid starts to set in, this is about the time when you know you've made a right or wrong gear selection for yourself, as these are the most important meters at the end of that kilo effort. 2 seconds up on the first time here as he comes down the home stretch. We'll see a new fast time.
New best time, 1:06.662, faster than he was this morning, and our new leader, Spencer Sedgebrook of St. Louis, Missouri. Moving on now to heat 3 of 9, rider 545, Sandor Delgado out of Hialeah, Florida.
Sandor, one of our ODP athletes who has had a fantastic nationals, getting himself into the gold medal ride against James Mellon in the match sprints, where he found a silver medal for himself, and then last night into the major final in the Kieran. All right, Delgado with a clean start here. Trying to get on top of this gear early to get himself up to speed. We'll look for some intermediate time splits along the way as Delgado still out of the saddle, 200 meters in, and let's see how long he goes here. He's a 1/10 of a second up already, and he's just getting into that arrow position. Let's see if he can get even further on top of the gear and almost 4/10 of a second up at the last intermediate, now 6/10 of a second up on the intermediate splits as Delgado coming through with a strong rod. Still 2 laps remaining, now almost a full second at 9/10 of a second up, sitting at nearly 52 kilometers per hour. Delgado now up to 53.5 kilometers per hour, well over a second up on the current time standards. Delgado maybe looking for a podium result here in the kilo. If he can hold on here for the final lap, he's 1.2 seconds up, 1.3 seconds up now. Can he finish out strong here? Delgado coming out of 4. He's looking for the fast time, throwing the bike at the line. And that new fast time, Alfred.
Finishes in a 1:05.228. A second and plus some improvement from this morning. That would have put him 3rd fastest qualifier this morning, so he may have just done a podium ride. Let's give it up for Sandor Delgado. Going to move on now to heat number 4 of 9, rider 551, Zecharia McClendon of Edge Cycling. McClendon, our 6th fastest qualifier from this morning. So a little bit of strategy in play. You got to go fast enough to make the top 8, but maybe not burn yourself out completely for the medal round in the finals.
As we've talked about in some of our other events, sometimes qualifying is just making sure you're doing just that. All right, McClendon with the clean start here. Let's see if he can get on top of this gear, and we'll look for some intermediate splits. Now, what I was just referencing over the past few days, we've talked a lot about what qualifications are for events, especially in our elite men's events, where sometimes you just do the effort you need to just to get into the event itself. Sometimes riders like Delgado will pull that off. However, let's look at McClendon right now. 4/10 of a second up. My goodness. This is a very hot start here for Zecharia McClendon. Now 5/10 of a second up. Can he hold on here? He's starting to drop a smidge though. Sometimes, as Alfred has already talked about, you go out too hard too early. That second half of the ride can absolutely come back to bite you. Let's watch the cadence here of McClendon. Those legs are starting to turn down, and he's now 3/10 off the pace. So he went out half a second up. He's now 3/10 down and starting to find a little bit of cement in the shoes here in the last few meters. Can McClendon bring it home strong? Coming to the line. Where will he finish?
Zecharia McClendon finishes with a 1:06.271, actually faster than he was this morning, but I think it was more painful than this morning, as he now slots into the 2nd fastest time so far behind Sandor Delgado. On track now, heat number 5 of 9, rider 537, Rex Ainsley out of Fallbrook, California.
Nice to have Rex even able to get on the track here today. He crashed yesterday in the Kieran, was unable to start in the minor final. Yet here he is in the finals for our kilo today.
Yeah, he qualified faster than he did last year, so he's definitely coming back strong. I'm told this is his favorite event. Brings many things into question.
All right, Ainsley with the clean start here. Riding over some sponges, though, off the line. Let's see if he can get himself a straight line. He's a little up and down on the track. That gear is massive. Let's see if he can get himself under control here as we get into the final first lap. Now he's in the aero position and really digging in. He's 0.4 of a second off the time of Delgado at this point. Let's see if he can bring it back strong. Remember, he rode over a sponge and was up above and out of the sprinter's lane early in the event. On another sponge there for Ainsley, a little all over the place here, hearing that bell for 1 to go. Sometimes you got to ride smooth to go fast here at the VELO Sports Center. He's really trying to dig in here, but the effort getting him a third sponge, fourth sponge for Mr. Ainsley as we come around the track here as he's trying to get to the finish line clean here. Rex Ainsley out of turn 4, put the head down, and where's his time?
Finishes fourth fastest of the riders so far with a 1:07.345. Now move on to heat number 6 of 9, rider 538, Peter Bach of Star Track Racing out of Muskego, Wisconsin. Sandor Delgado still the time to beat. 4 more riders to go, including Peter Bach, rider on track now.
All right, Bach with a clean start here. Coming through the Star Track development program out of New York City. Bach now on the ODP program. Remember the Olympic development program that USA Cycling has established this year, doing a fantastic job finding talent and getting them on track and giving them a little bit more support so they can focus on their cycling. Bach here off to a nice clean start here, 0.4 of a second up on Delgado, who is another ODP athlete. So right now ODP's occupying the top 2 positions, but Bach has a number of laps to go here. Can he bring it out strong? So again, maybe he starts too hot. Let's see if he can finish hot though. 0.5 second up on Delgado with 2 laps remaining. Now 1.5. He's 0.6 of a second up, so he is actually increasing his advantage over Delgado. He's looking strong, but here drops the cadence. The cadence starting to come down a smidge as he goes into 1 lap to go. The advantage also now cut in half. He's only 1/10 of a second up. He's now 3/10 down. 3/10 of a second down as the cadence is turning to nothing as he comes out of turn 4. He's going to try to get on the podium, and he finishes well. Let's see what that time is.
Finishes second fastest so far with a 1:06.206 behind Sandor Delgado. Peter Bach with 3 more riders to come, so might be good enough, might not, as we get into heat number 7. This is your national record holder. Give him some recognition, ladies and gentlemen. Erik Young, rider number 530 out of Boulder, Colorado. National record holder in this event, the standing start kilometer. That record set at altitude September 2018 in Aguascalientes, Mexico.
Erik having a fantastic season so far. He's actually the first rider to ever win both days of the Armed Forces Classic, so that's a criterium 2-day event in Washington, D.C. And now he's on track, and he's been getting himself some victories in T-Town. He'll be looking for a victory here in the Kilo. Young with the clean start here, getting on top of this gear. Let's see if he can get on top and then get arrow here. Looks like he's got a good line on the initial start. Now Young has a little bit of fatigue in the legs after a long season. He also raced Pro Road Nationals in Knoxville last week, and now he's been racing the full Omnium event and some Madisons as well. Let's see how Erik feels right now. 0.2 of a second down right now early in the competition, but as we have seen, pacing is very important in this kilo event. Erik looks very good. His gear selection appears to be perfect for him. His cadence is nice and high, and he's now bringing back that deficit. He's now ahead. 0.2 of a second up for Erik Young. 0.2 up with 1 lap to go. Can he bring it home to set a new fast time? 0.8 of a second up for Young. Can he bring this home in the final half lap here to put a full second into Delgado? He's 1.2 up, 1.2 seconds up for Erik Young, bringing it home strong. Young to the finish line. Alfred, what's that new fast time?
New best time, 1:03.583, faster than he was in qualifying this morning. In fact, faster than anyone qualified this morning. A great time from Erik Young, putting himself on the podium, perhaps the top step, as we have 2 more riders to come. We're going on now to heat number 8 of 9, rider 510, your reigning national champion in this event, John Croom of Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Young's gear selection looked to be absolutely perfect for him. As we watched that event, he started a little bit slower than Delgado, yet he was able to stay on top of that gear, and his cadence never dropped, right? We watched his feet the whole time, and he was able to sort of dance through the whole event there. It's a really nice job there by Young. Well, let's see how Croom goes here. Croom prefers a slightly larger gear than Young historically. Well, we'll see how Croom makes some decisions here. For his kilo, we'll see if he'll become the defending champion in this standing kilo event. John Croom, your defending national champion, with a clean start here in the Texas Roadhouse kit. Going to try to wind up this big gear that Croom prefers to get on top here. He set a lot of track records around the country in this event at many velodromes. Let's see if he can get himself another national title in the event. Only just entering the aero bars there, coming out of the sprinter's lane. Let's see if he can get back in, ride a smooth line. Croom looking nice and fast, but he's a little off pace. He needs to bring this home faster if he wants to be the new national champion here. Young currently occupying that top spot, and those are the times you're seeing on the board right now as far as what he's up or down. But Croom getting back the disadvantage as we come into 1 to go. He can get there, and he's only 0.05 of a second off. Croom can get there. If he can get on top of those pedals, Croom can go the whole way. He's now up. Croom is up on the time. Croom coming out of 4. Can he finish with a new national championship? And Croom looks like he's got himself a new fast time, Alfred.
That's right, John Croom, new best time, 1:03.569. 1:03.569 for John Croom. And 1 more rider to go. Our fastest qualifier from this morning, Andrew Carlberg, Broadmark Capital, Kirkland, Washington.
Croom leaving us in suspense there. My goodness. 3 of those 4 laps, he was down on Young, but man, he brought it home at just the right time. He's currently sitting in the hot spot. Let's see if he can hold it, though. Carlberg, very experienced at this event, and our fastest qualifier.
Women 15-18 time trialists, you are needed in the ready area. Your event is next. Women 15-18 time trialists, you're needed in the ready area.
All right, Carlberg with a clean start here. Going to try to get on top of the gear. He's Coach Taylor Crane right here on the apron. Going to give him time splits as we go. He's got some very hard times to beat, though, right now, as we've seen with Croom and Young. At this point, he is down on the fastest time, but he's now in the aero bars. Let's see if he can bring back that deficit as we go. Right now, he's half a second down now, but he's starting to bring back that disadvantage. As we come through the start-finish line, we'll get this next split, and he's now 0.2 of a second down, so he is coming back stronger. Carlberg on top of the gear. He wants a U.S. National Championship here in Los Angeles today, and he's coming on strong here, ladies and gentlemen, with 1 lap to go. Carlberg now 0.2 of a second down. Can he bring back that deficit late in the race? Let's watch the cadence as he's trying to find a little bit more power in the bike. The speed is what's important, though. He hits a sponge in 4 as he comes to the line. Alfred, where does he finish?
He finishes 3rd fastest overall, 1:04.605. Croom repeats as champion, Erik Young silver, and Andrew Carlberg bronze. Let's have a big round of applause for all of our men elite time trial finalists.
Fantastic racing, John Croom, our man from the Texas Roadhouse. Such a fantastic story of John Croom. If you don't know much about him yet, definitely check out his story. He posts a little bit on social media, but fantastic rise in cycling by Mr. Croom. In just 5 years, he has gone from being at what we would consider the beginnings of his career to now defending national champion on the track.
That's right. So we should have all of our women 15-18 in the ready area. Got heat number 1 of 8 on track right now. Katie Gibson out of Katy, Texas, rider number 65. Kaya Schmid, bike check. Kaya Schmid, bike check. Thank you.
All right, Katie Gibson, your first rider here out of Katy, Texas. Racing for the Northwest Cycling Club, though, so even though she's from Texas, she is representing the good old Northwest out there. She's going to be their first rider on track, and we're back to our 500s here. New American record set this morning. We'll get into that a little bit later. Gibson on track right now. She'd love to get herself on the podium here in this event. Coming out to nationals. I've been watching her come up through the age groups over the past few years. Great to have Katie continuing to race with us. She's coming into the final turn of this 500. She wants to finish strong, and let's see what the new time standard will be.
New time standard for Katie Gibson, a 40.221, representing Northwest Cycling Club out of Northwest Texas. It is a whole nother country after all.
Gibson improving upon her morning time, where she qualified with a 40.4, so 0.2 of a second improvement for Gibson. Nice ride there, Katie.
Coming up next, heat number 2 of 8, rider 69, Anya Thomas of Edge Cycling out of Mertztown, Pennsylvania.
Anya with a strong start here. Nice and clean. Anya's already got herself a little bit of hardware here at the VELO Sports Center during the USA Cycling's Track Nationals with Mia Day in the team sprint. We'll see Mia here in a few minutes. Right now, though, Anya coming up on top of that gear. Anya is a very good bunch sprinter in our events at the Valley Preferred Cycling Center in T-Town. She's always very strong in those junior sprint events. Let's see what power she's got and speed that she's got here right now. She's a little off the time of Gibson early. Let's see if she can bring this back strong. Now she's up by only 900ths of a second. Can she hold on to that advantage as he comes into 4? Alfred, what's her new time?
New best time, 39.918. A little bit outside of her qualifying time, but the new best time none the same. As we bring up heat number 3, rider number 73, Stephanie Lawrence out of Colorado Springs. We need the men 15:18 time trialists to bike check and the ready area at this time. Men's 15:18, please proceed to bike check and the ready area.
All right, Lawrence. A lot of encouragement there at the start there by her coaches. She's going to try to get on top of this gear. Remember, it's only a 500 as we saw for our elite women. Not as much time to get on top of the bike there. They also do not ride with aero bars. Lawrence down by 0.6 of a second right now on Anya Thomas. She's also hit a sponge there in 4. Let's see if we can straighten out her line a little bit and get her home strong. That double disc wheel, she's going to try to go as fast as she can with it, but she's 0.6 of a second down right now as she enters into 3. Let's see if she can make up for that deficit early as she comes back strong. She's on top of the gear. What's that time?
She finishes third fastest of the riders so far with a 40.363. Just outside her time from qualifying this morning where she was the 6th fastest, as we now move on to heat number 4 of 8. Kaden Sturgis of Colorado Springs on deck. Matthew Smith, Ben Funk, you are required at bike check. Matthew Smith, Ben Funk, you are required at bike check. Thank you.
All right, Kaden Sturgis off to a strong start, trying to really get on top of this big gear here early if she can. 500 is not a lot of time to get yourself up to speed. Let's get that first intermediate split. She's 0.3 of a second up right now, so very strong start. And hopefully she did not go out too hard too early. Now on top of the gear, she's now 0.6 of a second up. So Sturgis, fantastic ride here so far, but she's got one more lap to go to try to finish this out strong. At the next split, she's 0.9 of a second above what we have seen so far. Can she bring this home? We'll be looking to Alfred for this new fast time.
New best time, 38.886. Inside her time from qualifying, so she sped up in the final compared to qualifying and is now your fastest finalist with several riders to go. We are moving on now to heat number 6. Mia Day, Edge Cycling, Geigertown, Pennsylvania.
So if you're watching on the screens at home and the live feed, you'll see Kaya Schmidt did not start. She would have started in this position. She qualified with a 38.448, fourth fastest on the day, but she is not starting in the finals. So we are now on to Mia right now, racing for Sprinter's Edge. All right, Mia, nice clean start here. Let's see if she can get on top of this gear. She's got her aero helmet on and that nice slick skin suit as well. Hopefully that will give her the aerodynamic advantage she needs to get a new fast time. A little bit down on Sturgis at this point, but she's going to bring this home strong. Now she's on top of that gear, and now she's up by 0.05 of a second. Mia's got to finish this strong, though. She's coming to the final half lap. Let's get this next intermediate split. She's now 0.4 of a second up. Mia with a fantastic ride right now. She comes through turn 4. She's going to finish strong here. Alfred, what is her time?
Finishes in a 38.114, faster than she was this morning when she was the third fastest qualifier. So with only 2 riders remaining and a best time, she has put herself on the podium. Give it up for Mia.
Fantastic ride there by Day. Put in a solid effort.
Last call, Benjamin Rackness, bike check. Last call, Benjamin Rackness, bike check. On track now, heat 7 of 8 for the women's 15-18. Rider number 72, Kayla Hankins, riding for Luck Cycling out of Scottsdale, Arizona, wearing the ODP kit.
All right, Hankins out of the gate here. Now looking at the data from this morning, she was 4th fastest at the first split, but then she brought it home with the fastest time on the second half. And nevertheless, she still qualified 2nd here this morning. Let's see how she starts off. Very strong start here right now. She's got the fastest time out of the gate already. Let's see if she can bring this home strong. Kayla Hankins, Scottsdale, Arizona, now 0.3 of a second up on Mia Day as she comes around out of turn 2. Let's get this next intermediate split, and it's going to be 0.5 of a second up, so half a second advantage here for Kayla Hankins as she comes through 4. Hankins on top of the gear. Nice cadence. Alfred, what's a new fast time?
New best time, 37.270, 37.270. Faster than she was this morning and good enough to put herself on the podium with the new best time. So coming on track now, heat number 8, rider number 75, the rider who reset the American record this morning. Give it up for Sofia Shuhei, Star Track Racing, New Tripoli, Pennsylvania.
Shuhei having a fantastic national so far. As a junior athlete, she has found herself on podiums of the elite events, including a bronze medal in the sprints, and she set another American record, I believe, during this games. So hats off to her. Let's see if she can get herself another national title, though, right now in our standing 500. Strong start there by Shuhei. It's nice and clean. She's going to get on top of the gear here. Let's see if she can finish out strong. She's also set our track record at the Valley Preferred Cycling Center this season in this event as well for our juniors. So let's see if she can get herself even further, very far up on the intermediate split, 0.6 of a second out of the gate. Let's see if she can carry that strong. 1 second up on Kayla Hankins at this point in the games. Then she comes into the final half lap here, and she extends the advantage, 1.1 seconds up. Will we see an improvement on the American record here at the final kick? Alfred, what's our final time?
Finishes with a 36.370, outside of her American record, but a new best time for our finalists and a national championship. Give it up for Sofia Shuhei, Kayla Hankins the silver, and Mia Day the bronze.
Sofia, just a great U.S. Cycling Nationals for her. Another national championship, 36.3, and she set the American record this morning with a 36.11, taking down the record that was previously established in 2007 by Colleen Hayduck.
So on track now, heat number 1 of 8 for the men's 15:18 time trial. It is a 4-lap kilometer for them. Matthew Smith, the first rider of Edge Cycling, Allentown, Pennsylvania. He was our 8th fastest qualifier this morning. 1:11.9. See how he does this evening.
All right, here we go for our first rider for our junior men in this kilo. A little bit longer of an event. Matt Smith right now trying to get on top of this gear. Interesting to see that Thomas Cornish, who was just in T-Town, has the actual world record in this event for the juniors. And David Espinoza, another T-Town rider, also with the American record. So a few guys that we know very well. But Smith from T-Town, on track right now, race presenting Sprinter's Edge, hitting out on this kilo. Looking nice and arrow right now in the first few laps, and he is the first rider, so he is setting the standards for our junior men's kilo effort. That bell, of course, means 1 to go, the universal language for all of our events across the board. Smith sitting at about 49 kilometers per hour so far, and now up into the 50-kilometer range. As he comes around turn 4, a little wobbly there out of the 4th, but he'll set a new standard. Let's get that time from Alfred.
Right, and the new standard is a 1:11.490, a 1:11.490. Half a second faster than he was this morning, so an improvement from Matt Smith. Now move on to heat number 2, rider number 30, Sam Reese, Strata Racing Club out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah! Woo!
Looking at the score sheets here, looks like Reese came home very strong this morning. We'll see if he can maybe start a little faster, get himself onto the podium. All right, Reese out of the gate here. We'll see how he starts off this. Again, he started relatively slowly this morning, and then he brought it home very strong with the second fastest final lap of the morning qualifying session. Reese right now, a little off from where Matt Smith was. Let's see if he winds this up, though, a little bit sooner, gets himself on top of that gear for this kilo. He's now 3/10 of a second up on Maddie, and now 4/10 of a second up as he rolls through with, I believe, 2 to go. He's now 3/10 of a second up on the earlier time split, sitting at 47 kilometers per hour. Now, can he improve upon this speed to bring himself home a little bit faster, just to solidify an opportunity for a podium for himself? There's a bell for 1 to go. Can he crush this final lap and get himself in the hot seat for a little bit longer here? There's a number of fast athletes about to get on track to finish out this junior men's national championship event.
Sam Reese's time, the fastest so far, with a 1:11.088, an improvement of almost a full second from this morning. So good time from Sam Reese as we now move on to heat number 3 of 8, rider number 20, Ben Funk, Team Velosport out of Encinitas, California.
All right, Funk now on course. Nice strong start there. Nice form out of the gate, getting those hips forward on the bike so that you can push all that pressure backwards into the drivetrain. So Ben Funk up, and he's 7/10 of a second up right out of the gate. Now, can he hold that much of an advantage right now over the prior riders that we've seen on course? He's now extending it, though. That's great to see. So Funk riding very well right now. A little bit higher on the position, but 1 second up over the rest of the athletes so far. Funk coming through. We'll see 2 to go, still maintaining the 1 second advantage from this morning. And losing a little bit here in the final few laps as he comes around. He'll hear that bell as he comes through the start-finish line. Funk trying to now hold on to what he started there. He's now getting very close to maybe losing the advantage that he carried over Reese as he comes through. Reese's time's now coming up stronger. Can Funk finish strong, or will Reese hold the top spot?
Reese holds the top spot as Ben Funk slots in second fastest so far with a 1:11.424, a 1:11.424 for Ben Funk. Outside his qualifying time this morning, where he qualified 6th. We now move on to heat number 4, rider number 16, Justin Pack of Star Track Racing out of Flushing, New York.
Great story about Justin being discovered by Star Trek. We'll get into that during his ride here. Okay, Justin on track right now. A little sideways on that start, but he'll make up for that here. So Justin just discovered by Star Trek 2 seasons ago as a junior at the Casino Velodrome. He was just sort of learned about cycling from his parents, and they brought him out to Casino Velodrome, and then he got under the umbrella there of Pete Taylor and the Star Trek program. He's gone on since to win a few national championships in the 11-12 range. Now he's, of course, moved up through the 13-14s and now into our 15-18s pack. On track right now, looking for an opportunity to get on the podium on the kilo effort. So we'll see if he can get there. He's trying to ride a nice time. He was a little out of the sprinter's lane early, but now he's coming back strong. Now 0.06 of a second, now 1/10 of a second advantage, in fact, with a lap and a half to go. But those pedals are starting to slow down a bit with 1 lap to go. Bach trying to get on top of the gear, still 1/10 of a second as his feet are starting to slow down a smidge. Can he bring this home here? Bach trying to get a little bit more power. Now he's 2/10 down. And can he finish strong, make up for this deficit in the final half lap? Alfred, what is Justin Bach's time?
Justin Bach finished his 4th fastest so far with a 1:12.332 outside his qualifying time this morning. We now move on to heat number 5, rider number 15, Carter Kasianowicz, Kenosha Velo Sport Cycling out of Kenosha, Wisconsin.
So the pacing in this event, so important. A kilo, when you look at it on paper, just like in the 500s, it seems pretty straightforward. Go around the track 4 times, and you should be okay. But when you actually get into the event itself, it becomes very difficult, as we saw with the pacing there of Bach. He was down, then he was up, and then unfortunately he finished down. But Justin, being new to cycling, I'm sure he will study this event, and we will see him again. Kasianowicz on track right now. Red flag is up, which means he should be ready. Trying to get his feet strapped in there for his standing kilo effort. Kasianowicz getting the feet velcroed down. If you're watching on the live stream, his coach is trying to velcro his foot actually to the pedal so it doesn't come out. A lot of these standing start efforts put a lot of force on the equipment. All right, Kasianowicz on track right now out of Kenosha, Wisconsin. So Kasianowicz trying to get on top of the gear there. He does have aero bars on, though does not have that aero helmet. We'll see if he can get himself a new fast time. Nice line there on the first lap at least, to ride in that sprinter's lane, not exiting it at all. Now he's on top of that gear, and it looks to be 0.2 of a second up on our prior fast times. So nice start here for Kasianowicz as he comes around. He's looking at 2 laps to go here, and he's now 0.3 of a second, now 0.4 of a second up. So Kasianowicz really having a great ride so far. Now can he bring it home here in the final half of the ride? 0.6 of a second up. So he is really showing us how it's done. He's in fact extending his advantage with 1 lap to go, the critical lap here in the contest. Can he bring it all the way back? 9/10 of a second up here for Kazanowicz. Can he finish strong? Final half lap, 1.3 seconds up, but the cadence is dropping. Can he hold on here for the final few meters?
Finishes with a new best time, 1:10.051, outside of his fourth fastest qualifying time coming into this. So podium adjacent on the podium, we'll find out. We've got several more riders coming up. Moving on now to heat number 6, rider number 118, Benjamin Rackness of Sammamish, Washington.
All right, Rackness with a strong start here. It's Coach Joe right on the apron here as he tries to get himself on top of that gear. She'll be giving him time splits as he comes around, but we'll give you the time splits as we see them on the timing and scoring equipment. 9/10 of a second down out of the gate, but with a little bit bigger of a gear, he may start to bring this back, making up for that deficit early on in the aero bars right now. A little high out of turn 2 right now. Can he rectify that line there a little bit? 8/10 of a second down still, though, on Konezowicz from Wisconsin. Rackney's trying to bring this back stronger, though. 6/10 of a second now, so he's making up for earlier losses. Can he stay in that sprinter's lane as he's through the start finish on the far side? 3/10 of a second down now. 3/10 of a second down as he hears the bell for 1 lap to go. We'll get that split for you, and he's 5/100ths of a second down, so he is making up for lost time. If he can finish this final lap, he may set a new fast time here at the VELO Sports Center. 1/10 of a second up, 1/10 of a second up for Rackney's as he comes through. Alfred will read us our new fast time.
New best time, 1:09.588. He has put himself on the podium. The next two riders will determine where. Coming up on on track now, Heat 7 of 8, rider 36, Jean-Luc Contant-Galatello out of Coconut Creek, Florida.
Nice pacing there by Rackney's to stay even and ride his race, not panic about time splits as they came across. And he rode it to perfection, getting himself into the top seat. First rider to go under the 110 mark. Now we have our two fastest qualifiers coming up. Both of them ODP athletes, in fact.
Good sign for the future.
Contant-Galatello out of the gate very well. One of your stronger athletes in the ODP program. He usually does well in match sprint competitions. A little caught out here in this tournament at the VELO Sports Center this year. But he's trying to make up for that now, get himself a national title. 3/10 of a second up initially out of the gate. There's Jean-Luc now in the aero bars, going to try to ride home strong. And he's now 0.6 of a second up with 2.5 laps to go. Jean-Luc now through 4 in the sprinter's lane, looking at 2 to go, 0.7 of a second up. So Jean-Luc riding into the speed here, well ahead of the current fast time set by Rackneys that we just saw. Can he bring it home? 1 second up. He'll come through hearing that bell. That time split with 1 to go is 1.39 seconds up on the current riders. Can he finish strong to hold on and give him shot at a U.S. national title as he comes into 3? The cadence is dropping a smidge, but through 4 with a strong line to the line will get that fast time.
New best time, faster than anyone in qualifying, 1:07.765 from Jean-Luc Contant-Galatello. That might have been a national championship time. It might not, as we bring the reigning national champion up to the start area. Ethan Swadner, Front Rangers Junior Cycling out of Colorado Springs, Colorado.
So the athletes, again, that you see with the stars on their sleeves and the red stripe across the back, those are ODP athletes. We call them, that's the short name for the Olympic Development Program that USA Cycling has put together this season.
Our next event is the men's C1, C3 scratch race. They should be in the ready area.
Swainer out of the start gate. Very smooth starting style there. Great to see that nice form out of the gate. Form is very important in this event as every meter and every pedal stroke matters. And wow, already up on Contant-Galatello by 0.2 of a second. Now Swainer coming out of 4, flicking that bike around a little bit. Let's see if we can smooth that out as he comes through 0.4 of a second up on any time so far with a huge advantage. Now 0.6 of a second up. Swainer rolling through here. Going to be looking at 2 laps to go. Getting those time splits 1 second up on Jean-Luc Contant-Galatello as he rolls through. This is why he is an ODP selection athlete, ladies and gentlemen. 1.2 seconds up. A junior athlete putting world standard times down right now as he comes across with 1 to go, 1.1 seconds up, losing a little bit of time there, and you see that cadence starting to drop. The cadence is going down. Can he hold on to his advantage? Now 0.7 of a second, losing 0.4 of a second on that last lap. Can he finish strong? Will we have a national champion?
And he finishes second fastest, takes the silver. Contant-Galatello is your new national champion. Ethan Swadner finishes in a 1:07.773.
Wow. Let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen, for Jean-Luc Contant-Galatello, your new national champion here.
Ethan Swadner, silver medalist. Benjamin Rackness of the Jerry Baker Juniors, Jerry Baker Velodrome, taking the bronze.
Pacing so important in this event, as we just saw there. Swainer was up by 1.2 seconds within a lap and a half to go at the end, and that entire advantage erased on the last lap as Contant-Galatello takes the victory by the narrowest of margins here at national championships here in Carson, California. Wow.
So in addition to being day 6 of the Junior and Elite National Track Championships, it is day 1 of the Paracycling Track National Championships, and our first mass start race of the competition is getting on track now. It is the men's C1 to C3 scratch race final. It'll be a 10-kilometer, 40-lap race. Different riders have different classifications, different Cs. So this is classifications 1 through 3. We have both male and female competitors that'll be scratch racing here. Several of these athletes have represented the United States at the Paralympic Games, as well as winning gold. .810 is Ryder Sean Culp. .820 Trevor DeClote. .740 Samantha Bosco. .823 Joseph Berenyi. .741 Josephine Fouts, and .821 Jason Kimball. Okay, they're rolling out for their neutral lap. They'll get up to speed, get up on the track on the back straight, and if they're handsomely bunched, the starter will indicate the start of racing. Looks like Jason Kimball up there towards the front, incognito in the pink of Pink Realty. Each rider does a little bit of a turn at the front because they're doing 30% more work than the riders behind them in the slipstream. Josephine Fouts now leading as they come through the start-finish area. She's from San Diego. They'll come around and see 37 laps to go.
Jason Kimball there in the pink kit down in the sprinter's lane at the moment, setting the pace.
It's the second race of all these riders today. All of them participated in the time trials this morning, several of them winning national championships in their various classifications. Distances ranging from 2 to 4 laps, and now they're out here for a 40-lap mass start event.
Berenyi out there in the back with the white and black kit, a little bit of color on that design for the ABD Cycling from Oswego, Illinois. He's just taking inventory on everybody, letting everybody do a little bit of pace line action. He's playing gatekeeper there, just letting these laps tick by.
Yeah, Joseph, a very smart racer. He's a Paralympic gold medalist. As well as an American record holder in various time trial events.
So he's going to let everybody else do that. Now you can see he's getting a little gapped off there, though. So is he going to go up and around, or will he be patient and knowing that this rider in front of him will bring that back? Is that Bosco?
That is Samantha Bosco, Southern California racer. 33 laps to go.
So Bosco does bring that back, though she checks on the shoulder there to see where Kimball, or Berenyi is, excuse me.
And it looks like we got a breakaway from Sean Culp, Ascent Cycling, presented by MGCC out of Dana Point, California. Open up a gap on the field That's got the attention of Brenny and the others.
Yeah, Brandon using the track banking to his advantage, winding up almost like we see on the 200s, using the track banking, diving down into the sprinter's lane. He's going to bridge across there quickly, checking through the armpit there, and it looks like he's going to make the catch. Now, will he continue on? Looks like he may. He goes up and down. The rest of the riders want to get into the draft there, Bahraini.
So Kimball now chasing Berenyi with Fouts and Bosco behind. Sean Culp, who started all the trouble, chasing.
Effort there by Culp may have gotten the better of him.
Coming up on 29 laps to go. Berenyi time trialing away off the front of the field as it comes through the start-finish area.
I see both Samantha Bosco and Josephine Foots being the two to bring your leader back right now. If they can get together, work together to bring Bahraini back, they may have themselves a trio on the track.
Fouts and Bosco working well together to try to chase down Berenyi. 27 laps to go.
So Bahraini's cadence starting to drop a bit, and we see the two women getting up to him, and now we've got a group of three. Let's see if Bosco or Foots will go up and around. They will not, so Bahraini's going to have to continue to pull them around, which is a good strategy there. Let the strong guy do the work.
Samantha and Josephine both very smart. So those riders look to be the field now with 25 to go. They are the largest group on the track. So the chasing group of Kimball and Culp. And our lead field, Fouts, Berenyi, and Bosco. 24 laps to go. 24 laps to go. 6 kilometers remaining in the race.
Your chase here coming through the start-finish line. They're working well together, but your break has a pretty significant advantage going up and over your group there. So Bosco, Foots, and Bahraini all working well together. Bahraini first wheel in the white top, black bottoms. Second wheel there will be Bosco with the blue top, and in the red and black will be Foots.
.22 laps to go as our field comes through and the chasers follow.
So Culp and Kimball right now trying to chase, work together, but your group of three, I guess, would be your leaders, scored as your leaders right now. So your leaders are the field, and they have the half a lap advantage over the chase right now. So as you see the chase comes through, that's when the lap counter gets ticked, and we see 20 on the board.
So we're at the halfway point, 20 laps in, 20 laps to go in this C1 to C3 scratch race.
It looks like your chase starting to come apart a little bit. All right, your leaders now make another pass there of Trevor Delcote from Encino.
So our field now has sight of the chasing group. That often provides a good bit of motivation when you can see your prey. Out of sight, out of mind until they're not. And so Berenyi, Fouts, and Bosco start bearing down on Culp and Kimball. 17 to go.
So that whistle signifies that that rider has been pulled from the track. So we'll score Trevor Delgado accordingly. But
16 laps to go, 4 kilometers.
yeah, your leaders now about to make their first lap here on the chase. So your leaders will be scored up. And your chase there of Culp and Kimball now absorb. Oh, almost. Nice attack here. Countering the move there by Foots. So Foots now your leader on the track with a clear advantage over the rest. A little bit of confusion there by your leaders once they made the catch on the chase. Foots takes advantage of it, and she's now off with the largest advantage by her that she has established all day long. Let's see if your other leaders can bring her back.
14 laps to go.
Nice ride there by Foots to take advantage of the hesitation and the confusion there by the other leaders, just riding down track there into the sprinter's lane. And then when she saw she had that advantage, she really committed to it. That forced a harder effort there by Bahraini. Maybe an effort he did not want to have to do, thanks to Foots.
Coming up on 12 laps, 3 kilometers remaining in the race. We should have our men's C4 and C5 scratch racers in the ready area at this time.
So Foots is caught there by your leaders, and now it looks like we've got a counter by Bosco.
Very common in a scratch race where you have an attack and a counter attack, and so we're watching it here. Bosco waiting for that catch and then hit him while they're trying to recover, and has shattered what was the field earlier.
Really nice to see that both Bosco and Foots are attacking Bahraini here, trying to put him in the hard spot of chasing more than leading. So far Bahraini the past few laps has been in a position of defense, just trying to limit his losses here as Foots and Bosco continue to attack him to try to force as much effort into his legs as possible. Rainey here on the front now. We'll see if we'll have another sort of sneak attack by our two women. Your chase has come apart a bit. Sean Culp off by himself right now, as your leaders coming up on what I believe is Kimball out of Montana.
That's right. 8 laps, 2 kilometers to go. We are in the final part of this scratch race. Only 7 laps to go when they come through the start-finish area.
Foots on the front one more time in the red helmet there. Bosco, in the blue. And Bahraini there in the white. Now the rider in pink, he's actually down 2 laps. That'd be Kimball. He's permitted to work with the leaders in the scratch race. And now Bahraini trying to increase the tempo here as Culp almost makes contact with them. Let's roll through with 6 laps to go.
Bahraini taps the gas. They'll come around and see 5 to go. Foots pulls up and Bosco pulls through.
So at this point, these riders starting to think about their strategy for the sprint, when they're going to go, if they're going to have any late race attacks in this event or not. Foots and Bosco talking to each other here briefly through the start-finish line. Foots now dropping down to the sprinter's lane. Bosco not responding. That forces Bahraini to shut that gap down. Again, another effort that he did not want to have to do. You don't want to start your sprint before you have to here. Looking at 3 laps to go in this para scratch race for the C1 through C3 scratch athletes. If you're here in the VELO Sports Center, you guys can start putting your hands together for these riders who are coming into the final few laps of their championship event here in this scratch race as Barani starts to wind it up with 2 laps remaining in this event. We can keep that going, ladies and gentlemen, as we come around here. This is going to be Culp, but your leaders now in turn 3, they're going to be coming through with 1 lap to go right now. 1 lap with Barani on the front. Will Bosco or Futs be able to come up and around? This is a national championship event. Barani in the seated sprint starts to wind up that gear. Futs unable to hold, but Bosco is right there. Can Bosco come up and around? But Barani with the seated sprint, and Barani takes the ride and the race for the national championship.
We need 3 holders. We need 3 holders for the start of the next event. 3 holders for the start of the next event. Okay, so Berenier crossed the line first, Bosco second, 3rd place Futs. 4th position in the race was Culp, and 5th position Kimball. DeClote finishes 6th. We now move on to the men's C4, C5 scratch race. 2 different classifications than the riders we saw previously. They will be racing 15 kilometers, 60 laps. First position is 840, rider number 840, Christopher Murphy. Second position is 833, Justin Widholm. Andy Bennett is in the 4th position in blue. And then it looks like 830's in the 3rd position, Weldon Lathan. And pistol signifies the start of racing. This is a scratch race, and they're racing.
This is their C4 and 5. All men on track right now. Your rider at the back, actually Andy Bennett, I've seen him travel in the world with the U.S. national team over the past few years, working with them as a mechanic in Swan Ure. Nice to have him racing today in the VELO Sports Center, looking for a national title.
Justin Widholm won his time trial this morning. U.S. Military Sports Endurance out of Fountain, Colorado in dark blue. At the back of the pack right now after doing his turn at the front. Yeah, Christopher Murphy taps the acceleration. You can kind of hear the rumble of the lumber there as they get things going.
These guys riding a nice pace line. Here, very even. Everybody taking a turn at the front.
"27 miles an hour in the early going. I expect the thumb screws to tighten as we get closer to the end. Be 55 laps to go when they hit the home straight.
Everybody playing nice right now. As we're a little early in the competition, looking at 54 to go. So they've only done 6 laps so far out of 60. Nice use of the track banking there by Widholm.
Yeah, Widholm, no stranger to this track. He's done many of the paracycling open events held during the winter right here at the VELO Sports Center. Two stories of Siberian pine banking each end of the velodrome, 45 degrees on this 250-meter track.
A little bit of inventory taken there by Chris Murphy. And there he goes. He now accelerates from the back and through. So your first real attack here by Murphy as he was checking out the group, and it looks like Bennett's going to be your first to respond. Let's see if Andy can get on top of that gear to bring this back and neutralize the first threat of the race. Remember, Bennett travels the world with the U.S. national team to World Cups as a soigneur and mechanic. Let's see, he has a lot of tactical information here, courtesy of our guys and girls wearing the stars and stripes for us around the world.
And some racing chops as they just came up at 32 miles an hour on Murphy. Murphy able to do a 107 kilo, so no slouch of a rider himself as they come around to see 49 to go.
Wow, 107 kilo by Murphy. As we just saw in our prior events, that would be right up there in medal contention for at least the events we witnessed here today. We're looking, though, right now, these guys are trying to get themselves all back together. As Weldon Lathan trying to get himself back attached to the group there.
.47 laps to go as 8:30 Lathan gets back on terms.
Bennett through there, our first wheel. Bennett flicking the elbow for Justin Widholm to roll through there. And it looks like Lathan now regaining contact with the group here.
Looking to spend a little bit more time recovering behind the field. Not willing to pull through just yet.
We want to get a little bit closer there to get the benefit of that draft of the riders in front of him. As he goes up track, he wants Bennett to take the wheel there so he can maintain 4th position.
11 kilometers remaining in the race, 44 laps to go.
Strategy there at Lathan isn't wrong. You just want to try to keep it a little bit tighter here so that he's always maintaining that draft in the bike race. As these guys starting to wind it up a little bit, those gaps could start to become a little bit more significant as the faster they go, the more air resistance the front of the body takes. Whether you're indoors or outdoors, physics are still always applied.
That's right, 42 laps to go.
race at this distance with the number of participants we have, these guys have to really bide their time here because you can't just attack early, get lost in traffic, as we saw in some of our events over the past few days. So these guys all must work together for an extended period of time before we get down into the final few laps, at which point we'll start to see a few more accelerations here. As Alfred was talking about, a few of the riders here can ride sub 110 kilos, which means they certainly have a lot of power. Let's see if they can combine that with some tactics and speed.
Widholm checking around every time he's at the front, anticipating the attack that will come at some point. 39 laps to go in the race.
That's kind of interesting there. Widholm did not want to stay on the wheel of Bennett. He wants to be in the draft there of Murphy. So Widholm intentionally changing the order so that he can get onto the draft there of your rider in blue and orange, which is Chris Murphy, representing Colorado Springs Racing.
Just 7 laps outside the halfway point of the race. 30 laps in, 30 laps to go in 7 laps from now. Inside 9 kilometers with 35 laps to go. These riders know each other pretty well. They train together, they race each other multiple times a year. They travel the world together, not only track, but often road and other disciplines. And so they know each other's quirks on the track and off. And that is undoubtedly factoring into what's going on in the field right now, especially between Widholm and Murphy.
So Widholm and Murphy, so those two riders, I guess they race each other a lot, Alfred, and you see them here in the VELO Sports Center. There's a winter track league of sorts that occurs here.
Yeah, so in the winter we have the Para Open, and we've had international athletes joining us at that event. We've also hosted the Para World Championships, had over 400 athletes and their support staff here. Large event over many days, lots of incredible racing, including tandem racing, match sprints, which is really something to see when they get those big bikes really going. 32 laps to go.
That's cool that the VELO Sports Center has winter racing that's available for athletes of all sort of backgrounds here, especially hosting a number of para world events. So that's for that reason. That's why we have Widholm and Murphy really eyeing each other up, I suppose, right? Because they really know how, with all that experience here at the VELO Sports Center and tracks around the world, they know what each other's strengths and weaknesses is. So really the question is whether or not they know anything about Andy Bennett out there.
This is true, and I have to admit, Andy is somewhat new to me. I haven't had the joy of watching him race until this event, but I was impressed with what he was able to do this morning in the time trial. And so he's not one to be underestimated either as they come in here to 30 laps to go.
How did Andy's time trial go this morning? Was it pretty solid? I mean, he certainly travels, as I've said, he's one of the soigneurs for the U.S. national team, and I've seen him at various tracks around the world over the past few years, which is cool to always see Andy, familiar face around the track. This is also the first time I've seen him actually taking to the wood to show his stuff here, looking actually for a national title in an event here today. That's your rider out there with third wheel right now. And he is behind those two riders. So clearly Woodholm and Murphy really eyeing each other out. We'll see if Bennett can maybe use his savvy here, having watched World Championships and World Cup events around the world, to his advantage. As an athlete, you're always a sponge for information, looking around, watching races as you travel the circuit, trying to see what you can implement from the races that you watch. So Bennett having a wealth of knowledge. It's a matter of whether or not he can use that knowledge to his benefit here against some riders who Alfred has mentioned race here at this facility quite a lot, and also can ride very strong, fast kilo times. And here we have another acceleration by Murphy. So Murphy went up track. He was first wheel, and he almost did a seated sprint there in two. Woodholm did not respond and sort of now forces Bennett to chase. So Bennett now trying to shut down the gap here that Murphy has established. Woodholm in the draft there of Bennett. I wonder if Woodholm has intentionally done this to try to get rid of Bennett. If so, that would be a very savvy move to try to force your opponent into a position of pain and suffering here very early in the scratch race. Still looking at 24 laps to go. Bennett not quite able to shut this down. He's checking the shoulder. He's going to go up track. Let's see if Woodholm can get there. Hopefully Bennett can hold the wheel of Woodholm as they're going to try to shut this down. Meanwhile, Murphy now off the front for about 2 to 3 laps. We'll check their speeds and get some time checks on these gaps as we get deeper in here to see if Murphy can hold off those two riders.
Yeah, so Woodholm and Bennett working really well together. Got to watch that gap between them and Murphy. Right now, it's inside a quarter of a lap. We'll keep our eye on that as we continue to go through. It's going to be 21 laps to go.
Really short pull there by Bennett. He looks like he may have burned a few too many matches too early initially trying to get onto Murphy there. So Woodholm needs to actually ride with Bennett to make sure that those two can bring it back, because as it stands right now, this race is up track. Those two in chase need to bring this back as Murphy has a clear almost half lap advantage now with 20 laps to go.
Yep, I think that chase cost those two quite a bit because all of a sudden the gap just started doubling every lap. Now it is a solid half lap for Murphy. As Bennett and Kimball try to do their best to stay the damage with 18 to go.
Yeah, 18 to go, and Murphy's looking very strong, very much on top of the gear that he has on the bike. So his cadence nice and even. It has not dropped at all since he set out on this effort to lap his two leaders. And meanwhile, your two leaders with Bennett and Woodholm appear to have just lost their legs here as they tried to chase. They put in a big dig early on. They were unable to do so, and now you are about to see Murphy get a one lap up on the field.
Yep, so he will win the race unless one of those other riders gets their lap back in the next 4 kilometers, 16 laps to go. Second and third position would be determined by the relative position of Woodholm and Bennett. So 3 steps on the podium for this group, 15 laps to go. So just like in the elite races, we've been watching the junior races as well. The taking of laps, an important skill to master and be able to deploy and then recover from. We watched a rider this morning in qualifying for the elite points race this evening take a lap and then lose it.
Murphy's showing, though, he's got some quite tremendous legs here today. That last attack that he implemented, he started off basically as a seated sort of slow motion acceleration, and then once he realized he had the advantage, he really committed to it. It's a little bit different than sometimes we see a rider will go up track and then do this big sprint effort almost to get the bike up to speed. He was just sort of realized he had that gap, and then he just committed to it, and then he ended up being able to hold off the two chasers. So your rider in orange and blue, he has already lapped the other two riders in dark blue and black. Their kits look similar to the eye here, especially if you're on the live stream. They are wearing different kits. Your rider first wheel right now is going to be Justin Widholm, representing the U.S. Military Sports Endurance. And then now taking over, it's going to be Andy Bennett in the USA Cycling program.
Yeah, Bennett with a little bit of white in his shoes. Widholm mostly black shoes. One of the better ways maybe to tell them apart. Often a hard thing to do even when you're in the velodrome right here. 10 laps to go. Rider 452, Haley Bates, please proceed to bike check for the women's points race. Coming up next, Haley Bates, 452, please proceed to bike check for the women's points race coming up next.
We're into single digits right now, 9 laps remaining in this bike race, 9 laps to go. And we have your leaders together. With blue and orange there is Chris Murphy, who has lapped the field. Rider in neon here, Weldon Lathan from Plano, Texas, representing PACC Racing. They're actually going to remove him from the track at this time as he's now 5 laps down. So nice job for Weldon Lathan coming out to the Velo Sports Center in Carson, California. Taking part in our C45 scratch race final here. National championships on the line for everybody.
A little less than a mile to go for our 3 racers as they come through the line. 6 laps to go. Expect the cat and mouse to begin. 4 laps to go is a kilometer here on the 250-meter Siberian Pine Oval. It is the Velo Sports Center. And so if you've been watching the Tour de France over the last couple of days, you see the red kite before the finish. That's the 1 kilometer mark in that race. And so it's sort of the same sort of thing. You start to see lots of tactics play out in that final kilometer, which they will see as they come through the start-finish area this time. 4 laps to go.
Yeah, 1K to go right now. Your 3 riders on track, still together. Your rider in blue and orange, again, 1 lap up on the other 2. So at this point, he should be scored as getting himself a victory here. So we're really looking at 2nd and 3rd here. The other 2 riders on track will be Andy Bennett, 8:54. He's currently 2nd wheel. And then Justin Widholm, 8:33, representing U.S. Military Sports Endurance out of Fountain, Colorado.
Gabe, it looks like the pace is really starting to pick up here as we come into 2 to go.
Yeah, Murphy's really starting to wind this up a bit as he wants to just make sure they get themselves there. And now Widholm going to try to cut out of the saddle there, see if he can match the speed. Widholm up and over. First time we've seen him really give it a go here. With 1 lap to go, Widholm has the advantage. Can Bennett get there? Bennett's going to try to wind this up. Bennett wants to try to get himself 2nd in this race, but your leader will be 3rd wheel. He knows he's got it, so we are looking for the sprint for 2nd right now. Widholm on top of that gear, and Widholm will come across, securing 2nd place for himself in the national championships. Bennett into third, but congratulations to Chris Murphy from COS Racing on your national championship ride.
34-mile-an-hour sprint from Justin Widholm in that final sprint. And that concludes our men's C4, C5 scratch race.
So next up is actually going to be the final elite women's event of the USA Cycling Track Nationals competition. It is going to be a 20-kilometer points race final.
That's right. Lining up on the blue band in the first position there, rider number 400 is last year's silver medalist in the points race, Christina Birch. Behind her, Jessica Chong, then Colleen Gulick. Behind her, 406, Megan Jastrab in the orange is last year's bronze medalist. Then Sawyer Taylor, Zoe Taperez, who we saw on the junior podiums last night. And Kate Wilson is in the pink sleeves of Ironfly, rider 454 at the rail. Coming up now in the black, your reigning national champion, wearing number 1, no surprise, Jennifer Valente. Behind her, 401, Ali Boyea. Then Lisa Erickson, Elspeth Hyatt, Morgan Stern, Mary Wentz, Fiona Winder, Jennifer Wilson, and Elizabeth Stevenson, who has been tearing things up throughout the racing these last couple of days.
So points races, as we have talked about many times, we'll give you a recap in case you're just tuning in on the live stream. As you've been here in the VELO Sports Center with your friends or family, you'll probably know by now, but if you're just joining us for this championship event, points race, we have intermediate sprints in the middle of the event. You'll hear a bell, and then the riders will sprint. The top 4 athletes will be awarded points based on their finishing order at those intermediate sprints. In this event, there will be 7 intermediate sprints, and then the final sprint at the end, which will be the last lap, of course. Those points are worth double. So the intermediate sprints are worth 5, 3, 2, and 1 in that order, and the final sprint will be worth 10, 6, 4, and 2. Now, have we seen in both our elite and junior events over the past week of racing here, sometimes that final sprint can be very important. It can absolutely change the race dynamic in our events. So we'll keep a close eye on the math. Alfred and I will do our very best to keep you guys up to date, especially if you're on the live stream and you cannot see the scoreboard here in the VELO Sports Center.
So as Gabe said, there's sprints every 10 laps. The first one will be coming up 7 laps from now, so the calm before the storm, riders checking each other out. It's 403, Lisa Erickson brings them across the line, 24 miles an hour, the speed.
Erickson and Saccio had some very fantastic Omnium points races a few days ago. Erickson and Saccio always attacking the group. I don't know if Saccio's in this race here this afternoon, but Erickson is certainly there, so we'll look for some continued aggressive tactics by her throughout the day. She's got that Oakley white helmet on with a little bit of blue and black on the kit, currently first wheel again, so she's definitely sniffing the front early, trying to make sure she gets on the scoreboard. Kate Wilson here, though, with the pink sleeves. Wilson from Los Angeles, I believe, in the Ironfly kit. Kate going to hit out here. She raced in Madison last night with Jessica Chong, a physical ed teacher from Allentown, Pennsylvania. But Kate Wilson, a local coach here, and she is looking to hit out here and make sure she gets herself on the scoreboard. Sometimes scoring points is all you need to get yourself into podium contention here in fields like this. Speed's really starting to wind up, Alfred.
Yeah, they're up to 28 miles an hour as they come in to the final kilometer. When they come around, they're going to see 3 laps, 750 meters to go.
Sniffing the front now, Megan Jastrab and Colleen Gulick. Looking at the front, Elspeth Hewitt right in the draft there of Megan Jastrab as we're looking at 73 laps to go. Hewitt going to go up track there. And now taking over will be Valente. Now Valente is one of the best in the world at this event, period. No matter what nationality is on the track or what level of ride, Valente is always right there. So we'll see how she rolls here. Now another black and white kit just to make things nice and fun for us is going to be Fiona Winder on track. So Winder and it looks like Valente appear to be matching teammates, but in fact they are separate out here this evening. Valente on the front right now, though. Next time through, we're going to hear that bell. And there it is, your bell. So Valente on the front, Christina Birch from Los Angeles, California, representing Foundation for American Track Cycling, second wheel. Gulick in third wheel with Jastrab right there, starting to gap off the field a little bit as your top 4 roll through. Valente continues on the front. Birch right there, and she will get it. So Valente, Birch, Gulick, and Jastrab in that order. Those are your first 4 leaders, of that first intermediate sprint. We'll see if they regroup or if they want to continue on with their effort, forcing the field to chase.
And it looks like they're continuing. That was a 36-mile-an-hour sprint. Everyone else is currently tied for 5th place as Valente leads the race with 5, Birch with 3, Gulick with 2, and Jastrab 1.
Field really putting in a huge effort right now just to make sure they do not let the race just go up track. Finishing off the effort is Elizabeth Stevenson from Rochester Hills, Michigan, representing also the Lexus Velodrome out of Detroit. So you can see the speed differentials that occur in a points race like this. Those accelerations mid-race really get to the legs. Because we're on track bikes, you only got one gear. Whatever gear you've chosen in the infield is what you're stuck with, and you have to choose the gear that'll last you the entire distance. But you also have to be able to sprint and accelerate that gear appropriately. So as we sit here in the middle of this event, let's watch the cadence of some of our riders. Riders like Valente, she's got neon shoes on, so that'll make it a little bit easier to watch her feet. We'll see if her feet are fast or slow to tell us what size of gear she's got on that bike. Wilson one more time hitting out with about 6 to go until the sprint. This didn't work last time, but it's a bike race. It could work this time. Elspeth Hewitt on the front right now for I Am, I Can, I Will, I Do. She's going to go up track, though, not going to commit to the chase of Wilson. Wilson's advantage seems to continue there. Jessica Chong, her Madison partner, swings through briefly on the front. Meanwhile, now Jen Valente up to the front. Valente checks the shoulder, swings up track. Stevenson rolls through as well. Jastrab not going to chase. Zoe Todd Perez is in this race. Todd Perez has had a fantastic nationals, getting herself national championships. And I believe she set the American record last night in the junior pursuit. So Todd Perez coming into this race. Her brother Noah has also had a fantastic nationals this week. But Zoe's in here right now in this elite points race. This could be a great way for her to finish out her nationals campaign. Both Todd Perez and Jastrab out there are juniors on the track, but they've been very competitive at the top level of the sport. Kate Wilson's strategy seems to be working this time around, and it looks like it's not the Valente alien out there, it's Fiona Winder. So Winder now hitting out, exact same kit there as Valente, but they are separate teams. As we have Wilson hearing the bell, Wilson with those pink sleeves, she's gonna try to hold on, get maximum points. Winder really buckling down, but here comes Valente. Valente checking over the shoulder real quick. She's going to absorb Winder here. Jastrab in tow with Gulick also right there. Wilson's strategy seems to have worked, though. Wilson comes across. She'll get 5 max points. And we'll look at Valente, Jastrab, and Gulick in that order. So Valente not getting max points, but that's all right. She'll continue to hit out. We may have a new split here, Alfred.
Yeah, it looks like we've got 6 riders off the front of the field with 59 laps to go. The point totals after 2 sprints completed, your leader, Valente in black with 8 points. Ryder 400, Birch has 3 points, which ties her with Gulick and Jastrab. Everyone else is tied for 5th so far with 0 points, 58 laps to go.
Great to see Kate's strategy paying off, getting herself those 5 maximum points, pulling her well up into the rankings of the event, but Valente with the 8th, so she resets herself a little bit. She's comfortable allowing this group to come back together. As we see with about a lap and a half to go before each point sprint, Valente gets to the front, just starts to wind up that gear. By my eyes, she's running a fairly large gear, because when she gets on top of that gear for the sprints, nobody able to even come close to coming around her. Also, at this point in the race, her cadence is relatively low compared to some other athletes surrounding her in the peloton. So Valente out there with a big World Cup gear on, looking for a national championship. She also doesn't want to lose this one. She's won everything else so far this tournament, so why go home empty-handed if you don't have to, especially if you're strong enough to push that gear.
Yeah, Kate Wilson had a very steady pace setting herself up for those 5 points. It was 28.6 miles an hour every lap down to the 10th, lap after lap, so a very measured effort. So expect to see her play out more in the racing to come with 55 laps to go.
And here she comes one more time. So Wilson, one more time with the advantage. Field not responding. So Wilson will hit out here. We'll call this the extended sprint of Kate Wilson, as she's been hitting out for about 5 laps each time, or within that, though, with 54 laps to go. Hewitt stuck on the front right now. She doesn't want to be there, so she's going to go up track, and Winder now will be your rider in black and white to also go up track. But Wilson now with the same advantage we saw last time. We've got 53 on the counter. We're looking at Bolella here on the front for Berkeley, California. And Erickson now from Minnesota, I believe, but Erickson swinging through on the front with Birch now coming through, but Wilson with the advantage for her. So Wilson coming through the start-finish line with those pink sleeves with 52 laps to go. We may see her get 10 max points again. That could get her onto the podium by the end of the night if she can continue on. Wilson really winding us up here. Now we're going to be checking for Valente. Valente's about midfield right now, checking all over, looking for a door to open. Birch kicks early. Birch coming out as Wilson hears the bell for one to go. We're watching our bunch though, as Birch came out of mid-bunch. She had the open door. Valente was a little bit trapped, and Birch is going to start to wind this up. Next time through, we'll be awarding the points. Kate Wilson is your leader on the track, but your bunch coming up, that's the story right there. As Gulick starts to make the pass, Wilson gets 5 max, but Gulick's going to try to get around Birch, and she will, but Valente's right there. Valente, Gulick. Looks like Birch and Jastrab will go to the camera, but check this out. Valente not going to let Wilson go. Valente drops the rest of the bunch there, and Wilson goes up track. Can she get on the wheel here? She's going to try, but if she can hold it, that would be free ride to the podium, and unfortunately, she's not going to get there. Valente off to the races.
So our standings with 3 sprints completed, it's Valente leading with 11 over Kate Wilson with 10. So 1 point separation between those two, which may explain why Valente went on the attack she did. Colleen Gulick is 5 points behind Wilson with 5. Jastrab only 1 point behind her with 4. Birch has 3, and everyone else is tied with 0. 47 laps to go as Valente continues on.
Yeah, Valente's so smart. She's doing the math on her head, and she's like, you know what? I like Kate Wilson, but at the same time, I want to win this bike race, and I don't want to leave it to chance. So she's going to hit out here because she has 11 points. Wilson has 10. And remember, in a points race, if you lap the field like we're going to watch Jen Valente do, you get 20 bonus points. So Valente's going to try to secure her advantage. Meanwhile, Wilson's going to hit out with the same strategy here, but Jastrab, Birch, and Gulick have watched this happen twice now. They're not going to want to let it happen again. But Valente just on another level here at this U.S. National Track Championships. where she is about to make a lap of the field as they're trying to bring her back. It's not like the track has gone up to the rail at all. The entire bunch has been in the sprinters lane trying to hold off Valente, and they are unable to do so. And as we come around, Valente now makes the lap, and Valente will be 20 points richer for her effort. She'll now sit at 31 points.
31 points with 43 laps to go, 750 meters until the next sprint.
And Valente just rides right through the bunch. She's already at the front. She's prepared to take maximum points in the next sprint too if she needs to. So we're looking at 42 to go. Next time through, we'll have that bell, which is why we're seeing some riders trying to get themselves up near the front. Hewitt now down in the sprinters lane, checking over the shoulder. We have Bolela out of Berkeley, California in the draft. Wilson dropping down too, but we've got Jastrab, Birch, and Valente up track. Ta Perez, also another dangerous rider in the bunch, but we haven't yet seen her into the points mix. 41 to go. That would be a bell, but we're going to have it anyways as they come up and around. So we didn't hear that bell, but that's all right. We know what we're doing here because Jastrab's on the front and Valente in the draft as we come through. Birch is rolling through now. Jastrab going to be on front, but Valente rolls her at the line. Jastrab second, Birch third, and Gulick there for fourth. Those three riders really separating each other from the rest of the bunch. They knew what they were up to. Let's get an update on our points, if we can. So right now we've got Birch, Jastrab, Valente separating themselves. Now let's see who from the bunch will try to bring this back. Looks like Wilson is going to be one to try to use the momentum of the track to get herself there. As we come out, looks like Erickson may be the one to try to jump on with Taylor Sawyer, also now jumping across. That was Jen Wilson, not Erickson out there. So Jennifer Wilson of Razzle Dazzle out of Redwood City, California, responded to the threat, but they have now neutralized the breakaway. And we're going to do a little bit of points updates for us here really quickly as we're looking for our next standing results.
So showing Valente 35, Wilson 10. Jastrab 7, Gulick 6.
All right, so Wilson is on the front right now. Looks like our magical screens here have died up in the commentator booth, but we're going to just do some old-fashioned slash sheets while we've got them here. So we've got Ta Perez up on the front. We know that Valente is in the lead, and Ta Perez now trying to get there, checking over the shoulder here at Winder out there in the black and white.
So your top five: Valente 31, Wilson 10, Jastrab 7, Gulick 6, Birch 5. Next sprint, 4 laps from now. At 30 to go, it's 34 showing on the cards. Sorry, correction. Valente 36. Wilson 10, Jastrab 7, Gulick 6, Birch 5. Everyone else tied for 6th.
So Erickson now with a nice attack here as she comes up and around. She's trying to anticipate the points here, just like we saw it with Wilson. She's checking through the legs there. Erickson trying to get as much speed as she can out of the bike, but Stevenson from Michigan also going to be right there. But Valente unrelenting and unforgiving with her ability to get each and every one of these sprints. As we come to the line, Erickson going to try to hit out here, hold on strong, but Valente into the draft. Wilson's right there with a fantastic points race at this time. From the bunch, you've got Jastrab coming up and around Stevenson there, but from the lead, coming through turn 4, you're going to have Valente rolling through first. Can Erickson hold on as Jastrab comes up and around? Wilson's right there. Erickson does hold on for one single point. So we're seeing a number of riders scoring in this event. Great to see all these athletes really putting the test to the wood track here at the VELO Sports Center in Carson, California. But Valente getting herself maximum points one more time. That should push her up to about 41 on the board. There it is, so 41 for Valente. Wilson, though, holding on to second place overall. Awesome to see Kate Wilson with such a fantastic race.
So the new point totals with 29 laps to go. It's rider number 1, Valente, 41 points. Rider number 454, Wilson with 12 points. Rider 406, Jastrab with 10. Rider 404, Gulick with 6. Rider 400, Birch with 5. And Rider 403, Erickson with 1. Everyone else tied for 7th.
So we're definitely looking at the race for second right now. Wilson still has its silver medal potential with 12 points overall. Jastrab with the 10. Now, Colleen Gulick from the Pickle Juice Pro Cycling. She's also raced at the Valley Preferred Cycling Center in T-Town. She is very good at this event. At home, she's always very much at the front and scoring points exactly when she needs to. But let's see what she can do. Elijah Beatty not in this race right now, so she doesn't have any assistance out there on the track. Let's see if she can get her there, but believe Taylor Sawyer is in there. There she is. So hopefully we'll see Taylor start to help a little bit if we can. But Birch on the front, Erickson in the second, and there is Gulick up near the front. Ta Perez trying to get herself up in the mix there if she can.
Ta Perez, one of the riders without points so far with 25 laps to go.
Wilson on the front one more time, but not really doing this tactic we saw earlier whereby she would dispatch of the bunch around her. She's trying to actually now sprint with the rest of the field, maybe becoming a little more confident in her ability, but she has to watch Jastrab here. Jastrab is one of the best sprinters in the entire field at this time, as she's proven time and time again. She won every single one of the junior races, and now in the elite events, she won a gold medal last night in the Madison with Valente, which is essentially a points race with a partner. So Jastrab has shown that she has the ability to win an elite race. Whether or not she can do that here, well, she won't be able to get the win as we sit right now unless she gets a lap on the bunch, but she could secure herself that silver medal if she's smart about her tactics.
Jastrab, the reigning bronze medalist in this event, so she did well in the elite ranks last year. It's 2 laps, 500 meters to go for points.
That's your bell for wanting to go with 21 to go. Birch on the front right now. It looks like Taylor Sawyer is right there with Valente in the tow there. So Sawyer trying to get on the board herself. Jastrab's there, but Wilson is not. So this could start to change our silver medal positioning as we're looking around. Valente got first place points. Birch right there, Jastrab and Sawyer getting herself into the mix. I'm not sure Gulick got any points there either. So Pickle Juice Pro Cycling out there maybe fighting each other a little bit, as Gulick did need those points. Wilson missed out that last time through, but she's now coming across to this bunch, putting in the effort now. Stevenson also trying to get there. Ta Perez now trying to get across from the bunch. Ta Perez doing a nice job jumping across there. Once we have our points updates, we will let Alfred tell us what's up.
Okay, so it was Valente picking up 5, Birch 3, Jastrab 2, and Taylor 1. And so Valente, of course, leading with 46, but we now have a tie. It's a tie for second place between Jastrab and Wilson with 12 points apiece. Birch has now moved down to 4th place with 8. Gulick has 6. Erickson and Taylor are the only other riders with points, 1 apiece. Everyone else is tied for 8th right now with 16 laps, 4 kilometers remaining in the race.
Interesting to see Valente hitting out one more time, and Wilson is trying to get across to it. Now, if Wilson can get in that draft and hold on to Valente as she tries by getting out of the saddle there, that would get her a free ride for a little while. And these two have now left the bunch behind. So if Valente gets 2 laps up, that is what it is. But if Wilson can get a lap up, then of course that would secure her silver medal. So Wilson trying to get in that draft as best she can, because if she can get herself another lap with Valente here, then she would secure it. She's not quite there, though. I'd like to see her get a little bit closer on that draft, because Valente is going to turn up the heat. Wilson needs the benefit of that draft if she wants to get that lap.
Wilson able to take the lap herself, of course. Very strong rider, several national championships to her name, including a Madison championship. 13 laps to go. She's definitely positioning herself for maximum points. She's got more than a half lap on the field, although we're starting to see an attack come from there.
Yeah, the field is starting to respond with Eriksson now and Stevenson. So these riders who have been protagonists and antagonists within the bunch now hitting out early, taking advantage of opportunities as they're presented. Valente, meanwhile, now about to seal the deal on her 2nd lap up. So Valente absolutely crushing this race with now 2 laps advantage. She'll jump up to 66 points. 2nd place with Wilson will be looking at 12 still. There's your next bell, and your leader is now scored. Let's see how we figure this out, as they have scored. Valente is not yet making the lap, I believe.
Nope. So this will be their bell lap. They are coming up, and they will be sprinting for points on the next lap, and they know it.
So they're going to score Valente with the 5 there, I believe. I'm not sure. We're going to check our computer, because Wilson comes across here. Whether she gets 5 or 3, that's an important differentiator. And here comes Birch and Sawyer as they roll through. Nice ride there by Taylor Sawyer. So let's go to our officials and make sure we understand how we score Valente on that. Whether or not Wilson gets 5 or 3 on that could decide whether the silver medal in this competition becomes.
So they awarded Valente the 5 points, Wilson 3, Birch 2, and Taylor 1. And so your point totals with 7 of 8 sprints completed. Valente leads with 71, Wilson in 2nd place with 15, Jastrab 3rd with 12, 4th place Birch with 10, 5th place Gulick with 6, 6th place 410 Taylor with 2, 403 Eriksson has 1. Everyone else tied for 8th. It is double points on that final sprint, and that is definitely going to matter for the other 2 steps away from the top of the podium.
So silver and bronze will matter with our double points. Wilson here off the front. She is secured in silver. She's got silver medal right now, but she's only 3 points up ahead of Jastrab. So she must try to get herself in the upper parts of the final results. She may be trying to take advantage of hesitation from the field with 6 laps to go. This is Kate Wilson with the pink sleeves. Let's see if she can hold on.
So we need 503 Brewer, 506 and 528 to bike check at this time. 506 Carlson and 528 at bike check.
5 laps remaining. Wilson still trying to hold on to the advantage as we have a little bit of cat and mouse in the bunch. Jastrab is the rider we're going to be looking for. She's got that orange jersey on her back of Rally Pro Cycling. She's one of the best riders in America right now, even though she's only 17 years old. She's got to try to hunt down Kate Wilson, but Wilson's got a little bit of a leash here with 4 laps to go. Can she hold on 1 kilometer from the finish of your U.S. National Championship event here? A national title on the line. Valente has already secured the win with 71 points, but the podium is going to be fantastically interesting. Silver medal up for grabs here with Wilson with 3 laps to go here. Where is Jastrab? Where is Gulick? Those are the riders who are looking for the other medals. Christina Birch has an opportunity to get onto the podium here. She's only 2 points shy of of Jastrab here as well. So all those riders will be looking at each other. 2 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen. 2 laps to go for Kate Wilson. If you're here in the VELO Sports Center, you got to make some more noise for Kate Wilson as she's doing her very best to get a silver medal in this national championship event. As the field starts to wind it up, they're going to try to hunt her down. Kate Wilson coming through. She's hearing that bell for 1 lap to go. Kate Wilson trying to hold on to secure a silver medal. Tom Perez comes around. That's good news for Wilson as that takes points away from Jastrab. Wilson trying to hold on to the lead. Tom Perez trying to get on the board, but there's your bronze medal there, ladies and gentlemen. It's a silver medal for Wilson. Silver for Wilson, and your bronze medal going to Birch at the line. Let's go to the official results, but we looked at Birch and Gulick coming together to the line. Once we get that final math, that bronze medal will be decided. Fantastic racing by everybody on track, and congratulations to Jennifer Valente on taking another national title here at the VELO Sports Center.
So it was 10 points to Kate Wilson, 6 to Christina Birch, 4 to Colleen Gulick, 2 to Jastrab, and so your top 3 on the podium tonight, Jennifer Valente, Kate Wilson, and Christina Birch.
Wow, the bronze medal ride there at the end, coming down to the bike throw at the line. Congratulations, Christina Birch, on getting it right there. Fantastic finish to a very challenging U.S. National Championships. We've been here for a whole lot of days, and my goodness, the legs are tired. So fantastic racing by everybody out there on track. And Valente, another championship to her name. Sealing the deal on some history making right here at the VELO Sports Center. We are about to start our final event of the session and my final race of this nationals. In fact, this is day number 6 of U.S. National Championships, and it has been a fantastic games. We have awarded a lot of national titles across a multitude of events, but this event right here, this is our men's elite points race. Remember, these riders had to qualify into this event today in order to participate on this championship event.
So starting from the blue band today, we're going to have in the first position rider 527, Daniel Summerhill, then 509, Jeremy Cattell, 505, Justin Butt Savage, 501, Andrew Bernstein, 528, Alexander Winter, 507, Jamie Carney, 512, Adrian Hedgeberry, 522, Tristan Manderfeld, 504, Alex Brewer, 506, Chris Carlson, and 508, Charles Mack Casson. On the balustrade in the first position, winner of the International Omnium the other night, Gavin Hoover, 503, Daniel Brewer, 581, Peter Moore, 515, Ryan Jastrab, 517, Shane Klein, 535, Grant Kuntz, 519, Brian Larson, 526, Lucas Strain, 513, Daniel Holloway, 523, Robert Mayfield, and 521, Simon Lynn.
We need one more holder on the blue band for Andrew Bernstein, please. Need a holder, please. One more holder, please. There he comes. Thank you, sir.
Daniel Holloway, your reigning national champion. Shane Klein, the bronze medalist from last year. They're both up along the balustrade.
120 laps on the counter here. This first lap technically neutral as these guys are hitting out. A few notables not partaking in this event be Colby Lang and Mr. Eric Young. Legs just getting the better of them. Remember, these guys also raced Pro Road Nats in Knoxville, and then they jumped right into what has proven to be a very hard national championships event. So these guys know when to say when.
Heavy hitters hitting heavy hitters. It's definitely 4 out of 5 doctors recommend that for pain. And speaking of which, it looks like we've got an attack, Gabe.
Oh, Adrian Hechavari hitting this race hard, exactly like we saw in the Madison a few days ago. Klein a little late on the response, but he's going to try to make up for it here. Klein going to try to dig through, but Hechavari, fantastic effort there by your man in the Texas Roadhouse kit. He wanted the Omnium win, but he was not able to get it. He had a little bit of a misstep in the elimination, getting called out very early in that event. He did his very best to get the Omnium title by lapping the field in this fashion, but Gavin Hoover proved to be just a little too strong that day. So today is Hechavarry's opportunity to get himself an individual national title. Now, he did get a national title the other night with Daniel Holloway in the Madison, which of course is the points race with partners. So Hechavari, no stranger to how this format works. And let's talk about why he's doing what he's doing, Alfred. What happens when you lap the field?
Lap the field, you get 20 points, and it took 4 laps to win the points race last year. That's what Daniel Holloway did.
Holloway lapped the field 4 times?
4 times last year.
My goodness. All right. Well, let's see how this race plays out this year, because Holloway and Hoover are on the front. Hedge is about to make contact with the back of the field. So before we even had our first point sprint, Hechavarry's about to touch the back of the bunch, and Klein is feeling heavy in the legs. He's a little late on that early response to Hedge here first, and now Holloway, Brewer, looks like Grant Kuntz and Hoover are going to try to hit out. They've now caught and passed Mr. Klein with 113 to go. Holloway now hitting out. Let's see if Hechavari can make contact. He hasn't yet done it. Maybe the effort here by Holloway a little too much for Hedge as we roll down to the first intermediate sprint.
2 laps from now.
So Hechavari is your leader on the track. That's why he hears the bell now, even though visibly he's getting close to the back of the bunch. Here is your chase, led by Hoover, Holloway, Brewer, and Grant Kuntz. Justin Buttsavage trying to get out there, but I don't think he's going to make it. Hechavari going to get 5 points there. So Hedge looking at the 5 points overall, and he's now looking for his first lap. And now your rest of your bunch comes through. Holloway with the 3. Looks like Brewer with the 2.
Yep.
And Kuntz with 1, maybe?
Kuntz with 2 and Hoover with 1. At least that's what I saw. We'll get that officially here momentarily.
All right, so our magic computer trying to do what it does here. But Hechavari rolled across there. He got 5 max points. Remember, because he was at the front, then Holloway came across there for the 3. So the 2 and the 1 is what we're going to have to figure out here at the back of the bunch.
So that was Holloway, Brewer, and Kuntz picking up those points, and so they are your 4 leaders. Everyone else tied for 5th. Hechavari 5, Holloway 3, Brewer 2, and Kuntz 1.
And Hechavari now making the lap, so we'll give him a /1 in the laps counter field. Hechavari now officially there. Your leaders are now considered right here with Hoover. Looks like Bernstein is going to try to get on top of them, even though he's now come off the back of the bunch. But your leaders there with Holloway, Brewer, Kuntz, and Hoover. Those are your leaders on the track.
That's right. Hechavari been given the lap, so he leads with 25 points. Second place Holloway with 3.
Here's your main field here, but your leaders are now already in turn 3 with Hoover, the winner of your Omnium a few days ago. Holloway rolling through, and as Alfred said, Holloway lapped the field 4 times last year in order to get the win in this particular event. He's going to try to do the same thing here, it looks like, even though Hedgevary's already taken 1 lap himself. So Texas Roadhouse coming to Nationals right now with a lot of motivation, trying to upset the Elevate KHS train here. And look at that. Holloway does not want to let Hoover out of sight here as he goes up track. He is anticipating this bell. Holloway, one of the best in the business at this. There's your 101. There is your bell. Kuntz on the front right now with Hoover, Holloway, and Brewer in that order. Let's see if their speed is enough to keep them behind the bunch. They don't want to yet make the lap here, but they will be fighting for maximum points. And Holloway, Hoover, Brewer, and Kuntz in that order. So Holloway with the 5, he's going to go up to 8 and just as they hang off. So Holloway's looking like he's going to play a dangerous game here as he has not yet made the lap. So Holloway hanging back here, his rider number 13 or 513, I suppose, is the series they gave the gentleman this season. So Holloway still hanging back. He is being scored as not yet getting the benefit of the draft in the bunch. However, we have 4 riders who have lapped the field.
So the point totals now. First place, Hedgevary, 25 points. Second place, Brewer, 24 points. Third place, Hoover, 23 points. Fourth place, Kuntz, 22 points. Fifth place, Holloway with 8. Everyone else tied for 6th.
So your leader on the track is Daniel Holloway. That's rider at the back of the bunch visibly. So what Holloway is intentionally doing right now, he is biding his time until we get to the next point sprint. He does not want to lap the field. He intentionally wants to get 5 max points next time and then lap the field. But what he's doing is keeping an eye on the dynamic at the front. If he at one point thinks that he could not make the lap, then he will jump into the field. He will get those 20 bonus points and he will re-strategize with the bunch. So Holloway still checking the front even as he rides at the back. Very savvy tactics there by Daniel Holloway as you start to have some accelerations off the front here by, I believe, Lynn.
And Brian Larson. Larson and Lynn off the front with 94 to go.
So Larson and Lynn trying to separate themselves from the bunch. Looks like Ryan Jastrab, the brother of Megan, trying to hang tight there at the front. Again, Holloway still not scored as making the lap. So he is up and down the track. You see the tactic and line that he takes. He's using the track banking to allow him to now accelerate a little bit without putting pressure on the pedals. And then he comes up track a smidge just to scrub speed, and then he'll accelerate again without putting pressure on the pedals. Showing his experience, but he's got to keep an eye on Hoover, who's now on the front of the bunch.
Hoover tightening the thumb screws, looking back to see if he can do some damage with 2 laps, 500 meters to go for the sprint in the field.
This is exactly what Holloway wanted, right? He bided his time until he got to 91 to go. He wants to get the 5 max points, then get himself the lap. This is what he's doing. So we're looking through, and he will get 5 max points here. So Holloway with the advantage, and now he seals the deal. Now Holloway has made the full lap. So these guys coming through are fighting for 3, 2, and 1 points. So Hoover with 3, Summerhill there with the 2, and Ryan Jastrab with 1. So Alfred's going to do some math for us up here, check the computer screens and whatnot, but Summerhill now with the advantage with Hoover and Jastrab. And it looks like Lucas Strain has made the split here as well with Shane Klein and I believe Lynn, Simon Lynn as well. Nice to see Klein get there and be the first to attack.
So Holloway picked up 5 in that sprint, Hoover 3, Summerhill 2, Jastrab 1. And your new point totals, Holloway leading with 33 after taking the lap. Hoover in second place with 26. Hedgevery now third place with 25. Brewer in 4th place with 24. 5th place, Kuntz with 22. The best of the rest is Summerhill with 2, Jastrab with 1. Everyone else tied for 8th. 86 laps to go.
So you're looking at, actually check out the dropped group here, ladies and gentlemen, as they're coming into turn 2 right now. You got Brewer and Kuntz in that group. Those are 2 riders who have already lapped the field with the early leaders. However, it looks like they are really suffering. Kuntz, in fact, goes up trap, drops the head through the start-finish line. This may be the end of Kuntz's day, a rider who has already lapped the field, possibly pulling himself out of the mix. Just to give you a sense of how hard and how fast this championship event is, Grant Kuntz, a fantastically strong rider on the track. He appears to be out of this bike race, dropping back down a lap. This is your leader, Shane Klein, in the blue and white with Summerhill now in chase with Hoover trying to catch him. Now, to my eye, Gavin Hoover's not got the speed that he had just the other day in the Omnium when he was absolutely on fire in that points race. He and Hedgeberry lapped the field 3 times to take that win. He just doesn't quite have that punch that we've seen, but we're still early in the event. Kuntz now losing his lap, so Kuntz will go back down into standard points. That'll give him 2 points overall, down from the 22 that we saw earlier. We're looking at 81 to go though here, Alfred. 81, and that means we've got a sprint on the line. Hedgeberry out of the saddle, trying to overtake Klein there. Klein going to try to inject himself between himself and Holloway. So you have Hedgeberry, Klein, Holloway, and I believe that's going to be your buddy Larson out there. So Hedgeberry comes through, Klein, Holloway, and Larson in that order. The question becomes, will that group of 4 stay away? Klein again late on the drop in there. He hesitated. He thought that he could get Hedgeberry to go, and he did not. Hedgeberry very patient and smart. Larson and Holloway though, they're going to hit out at the front. They've got that big old gap. Klein unable to shut that down. We'll see if Hedgeberry shuts it for him. He will not. So they're really working Klein over here in this points race. A strong tactic because Klein is very good at this race. If you can force Klein to do things he does not want to do, like sprinting and shutting down gaps, that will take the punch out of the legs. You want to do an update here, Alfred, on our overalls?
So Hedgeberry got the 5, Klein the 3, Holloway the 2, and Alexander Winter got in there for points. So Holloway now leads with 35. Second place, rider 512, Hedgeberry with 30. Third place, Hoover, 534 with 26. Fourth place, Brewer with 24. Shane Klein now the best of the rest, in 5th place with 3 points. Summerhill and Kuntz are tied with 2 points apiece. And Jastrab and Winter have 1. Everyone else tied for 9th. 76 laps to go.
I'll give you an update on that one further over Race Radio while Alfred was giving us those updates. Kuntz is now out of the bike race, so a rider with 2 points now removed from the overall. So just showing you how hard this race is right now. Riders just doing what they can just to stay in contention. A rider like Grant Kuntz coming out is very important to understand how hard this is. But look at Summerhill now with a nice attack down in the sprinter's lane, and he is going to try to roll this effort here as Carney was off the front there for a brief moment. Carney, very experienced performer, professional 6-day athlete in this event. Let's see if he can get himself a few points for good effort here. But Summerhill's on the front. He's pulled out Larson, and he's going to pull out, now it looks like Jastrab and Brewer in this point. So let's see where Brewer sat. Did Brewer keep his lap? He did. So Alex Brewer still with his lap up, though he was very close to losing it at one point. So separation starting to occur. Look at the gaps that are happening in this bunch right now. That shows you the field dynamic and just the pressure on the pedals that's required.
Alex Brewer, a speed skater, riding really smart in this points race final.
Oh boy. And riders flicking all over the place. Larson keeping it up right there as he was all about to make it scary for us as Holloway comes up and around, timing that well. Holloway now putting the head down, checking through the legs, but Savage unable to manage the speed there as Hoover comes up and over. Holloway will get 5 max points, making it look easy. Hoover with the 3. Tristan Manderfeld of the U.S. Military Academy there with the 2, and Butt Savage with 1. Look at those splits that occur every single time we sprint, and let's see who counters this move. Will it be Summerhill riding through traffic one more time or not? He got a little jammed up, and it looks like it will be Lynn possibly getting down into the action finally.
Okay, and we've got the points for the 5th sprint. It was Holloway with the 5, Hoover with the 3, Manderfeld with the 2, and Butt Savage with the 1. So Holloway, rider 513, now leads with 40 points. Hedgeberry in second place with 30 points. Hoover only 1 point behind with 29. Alex Brewer in 4th position with 24. Shane Klein with 3. Manderfeld tied with Summerhill with 2. Butt Savage, Jastrab, and Winter tied with 1. All others tied with 11. 67 laps to go.
So right now, still the championship up for grabs here, but a lot of Texas Roadhouse up at the front. So with Holloway with the 40, he's got to pay attention to what's happening right now in front of him with Hedgeberry and Summerhill going up track. But Hedgeberry really churning the screws here with Simon Lynn on for the free ride here. Now, if Lynn can get himself a lap, that would pull him way up in our overalls here. I do not yet see him as an intermediate sprint champion, or excuse me, winning intermediate sprint points yet, as Lynn is looking to get there. But Hedgeberry is a very good leader to pull himself across. So Hedgeberry, Lynn as your leader. Summerhill unable to ride there with the same pace, so he goes up track. He will reintegrate with the bunch, but your bunches are coming apart here, you guys. You guys got to continue to pay attention as the pace at the front is absolutely tearing this race apart. Guys out of the saddle just to stay in the pace line at this point, as we continue to see riders popping off the back of this race, left and right being removed from the field of play as they are unable to ride at the speeds presented. Hedgeberry at the front with Lynn right now. Hoover checking the inventory at the front. Now Mayfield going to try to hit out from the bunch, try to get himself on the board. He did a fantastic job of that in the Omnium event the other day. So let's see how we play out here with our next few laps, with now Mayfield working with a new rider. That's going to be 581. That'll be Pete Moore. Oh, so one of our junior athletes, in fact, Peter Moore out there for Donkey Label. Let's see if he gets on the elite scoreboard. 61 to go. Hedgeberry now dropping Lynn. Hedgeberry going to dig down here. He has lost his breakaway companion. Moore going to try to hit out. Mayfield going to go up track. He knows his limits here as Hoover starts to wind it up with Holloway in the draft. They're going to absorb Moore, but on the start-finish line, we got Hedgeberry rolling through. Simon Lynn looking like he's beside himself just to get those 3 points. Here is your bunch rolling through with Hoover and Holloway in that order. So Hoover, Holloway get 2 and 1 points as Hedgeberry got the 5, Lynn with the 3. Lynn goes up track. And so now Hedgeberry off the front by himself. Alfred's going to do some math for us, get us our points updates here as soon as he is ready.
All right, so Adrian Hedgeberry does pick up the 5, Simon Lynn the 3, Hoover the 2, Holloway the 1, and so your new point totals with 58 laps to go. It's Holloway with 41, Hedgeberry with 35, Hoover with 31, so the gap opening between Hedgeberry and Hoover. Brewer 24 and Shane Klein with 3 tied with Lynn.
So you have 4 riders in with at least 20 points or more. Those are the riders who have lapped the field, and it has stayed that way. But if Hedgeberry makes this lap, he of course will catapult himself well above the others. He's currently in second. He could very well put himself into the national championship standpoint as far as this race is concerned, as we are well beyond the halfway point at 56 to go. Hedgeberry trying to bear down. Let's look at the dynamic at the front though. Klein's going to try to keep the pace high, but Klein little off. He's only got 3 points so far, scoring 5th in the overall. Off the podium, he needs to get himself a lap if he wants to find a little bit of hardware here. And as we say that, the field slows up, and Hedgeberry about to get his lap as we jump into 54 now to go. Hedgeberry scored as another lap up. That's 2 laps now for Hedgeberry. He will take the lead with 61 points. So we're going to recalculate that apparently. So for what I was presented before, a little different. We're going to redo that one. So Hedgeberry actually now has 55 points, not the 61. So Hedgeberry with the 55. Holloway with the 41 there still. So that was my bad. I was looking at our second line, not first line, not the second line. So Holloway still with the 41 points, having made one lap. So we'll see strategy really start to play out as there is Mr. Holloway coming out of the field there. This is Larson trying to get himself 5 max points, but Holloway's not going to let this race go. Holloway wants this championship, even though it is his good friend and Madison partner Hedgeberg vying for the win. Holloway doesn't want to lose it, but nice ride here by Larson to hold off Holloway. Larson with the 5 points. Holloway there with the 3. Holloway nodding the head saying, come on, man, let's go. Let's get ourselves a lap. Summerhill and it looks like Carney maybe rolled through there. Now Larson not going to work here with Holloway, so Holloway's by himself. We'll see if Holloway commits to making the lap. We'll see if we got our math ready for our updates. Not quite yet, so Holloway's still rolling through there by himself, checking over the shoulder, seeing like whether or not he wants to go. But here comes Hoover. Hoover is part of the U.S. national team's team pursuit squad, so he's got these efforts, and these are the legs that we saw the other day in the Omnia. Maybe we just needed a few laps to wake those legs up. Robert Mayfield, though, very smart racer. He has latched on to the draft there of Hoover, and hopefully he will be able to work with those guys, as Mayfield would love to have himself on the top ranks of our points race.
All right, and so we do have the points from the last sprint. It's Alexander Winter picking up the big 5, Holloway the 3, Summerhill 2, and Jamie Carney got in there for a point. So Hedgeberry now leading with 55, Daniel Holloway 44, Hoover 31, Brewer 24, Winter now 6, the best of the rest without laps. Summerhill at 4. Klein moves down. He is in 7th place, tied with Lynn with 3 points.
So this race dynamic going to be very important right now as we get down to the 45. Hedgeberry goes again. So Hedgeberry into the sprinters lane with the advantage. Looks like Holloway is actually not quite as punchy on the gear as he normally is, having a little bit of a hard time getting on top of the accelerations there by Hedge and Hoover. Now those 3 riders will start to work together a little bit as Holloway has sealed the deal back up onto the draft there. Here comes Lynn, though, going to try to jump across. Pete Moore flicking his elbow as he does not want to have to do that effort as Tristan Manderfeld is now being tasked with.
3 laps, 750 meters to go until the sprint at 40. That'll be the 8th of 12 sprints.
Holloway looking strong here, but he's lost a little bit of that punch that he normally has, and Lynn going to try to get across to this move here. Next time through, we'll be hearing that bell. If Lynn can get there, that'd be good news for him. Klein's going to try to hit out right now, maybe a little late on the response here if he can get there, because he would be 5th wheel on the track. We only award points 4 deep, though. 41 on the counter. There is your bell. Holloway first wheel with Hedgeberry 2nd. Hoover there in 3rd. Lynn almost there, though not quite. And Klein trying to get there. Klein with a good turn of speed here late. Can he get up to that bunch and hold off the group? The group looks like they're sitting up, so let's look at the front here. Hedgeberry rolls through. Hoover right there. Holloway is there. Lynn gets there, taking that point away from Klein. Klein goes up and over, making that final pass. Can Klein get to that trio there to make it a quartet? And then you would have 4 guys with a lot of potential here. Klein needs to make this lap here in order to have a shot at getting on the podium, and Klein does it. Fantastic effort there by Shane Klein to get across to that move. Oh, man, take some deep breaths, man, because that was a really tough effort as he got there. He's not going to pull through. He does not have to when you have the caliber of riders in front of him doing all the pace setting.
So it was Hedgeberry picking up the 5, Hoover the 3, Holloway the 2, and Klein the 1. So your new point totals with 8 of 12 sprints completed. First place, Hedgeberry, 60 points. Second place, Holloway at 46. Third place, Hoover with 34. Fourth place, Brewer with 20. Winter has 6. Lynn has 4. Summerhill has 4. Klein has 3. If they can get the lap, Klein would then have 23, which would place him 5th.
Yeah, so Klein would actually prefer if this group does not lap immediately, because if Klein can pick up another intermediate point, that would help him in bumping up ahead of Brewer. So we're looking at a little bit of cat and mouse here as these guys tick down to 35 laps to go, as Klein's looking for the draft there of Hedgeberry, the best draft in the bunch there, but as far as size is concerned. So that looks like what he is trying to do there, as Hoover now takes over the pace setting with Holloway, Hedge, and Klein. Your bunch looking at each other for the moment. That's actually better news for the Texas Roadhouse guys than it is for Klein, as Klein again needs these intermediate sprints. Now Hoover, let's take a look at his math here. He's at 34 points. Hoover would also benefit from getting another intermediate sprint in the mix here, just to secure a few more points for himself if he wants to try to get on that silver or even gold medal position here if he can. Although Hedgeberry, this would be his third lap if he makes it by my tally, and therefore securing what would ostensibly be his championship, and that may be what he does. So Hedgeberry goes across, and Hedgeberry now scored as making the lap with 32 to go. That leaves Klein an opportunity to hang back at the strategy that we saw Holloway take earlier. So we have Klein as your leader on the track. Shane Klein is your leader here. We're going to keep an eye on him, as your bunch is going to see the 32 to go. Klein will see the 31. So Klein sees 31. He is looking for 5 maximum points just so that he can get himself the lap. But this is a gamble. When you don't have any friends out there in the bunch, you got to make sure that you can hold on your distance here. So Klein holding back. He's going to try to now ride into the bunch. He's going to get those 5 max points, and now he takes the lap. So Klein, very good strategy there. He got those 5 max points. He goes up and over some dropped riders, including Brewer, who he has now surpassed in the overall rankings. Larson comes across for the 3. Another rider there for the 2. Holloway jumping in, and Mayfield may be getting there as well.
Cattell with the 2. And a little razzle-dazzle from Brian Larson as he comes across the line, 29 laps to go.
Wow, fantastic ride there by Klein. So Klein now going to jump himself up into what I see as 4th. Hopefully he can hold there. When we get our updates on our screens, we will confirm that standings here for you. But Klein, really nice strategy there. We'll see him pull himself up above Brewer the next time our screens refresh up on the stage. But Hoover now up on the front with Holloway. Not going to let Hoover get anywhere. Hedgeberry, though, with the 3 laps now. So Hedgeberry up to 80 points in total. My goodness, that's going to be almost impossible for anybody else to come across. So we are now looking at a battle for 2nd and 3rd. And it's Klein now with the offensive attack. He knows that Texas Roadhouse guys have been trying to really work this race over, so Klein has to be on the offensive here to try to separate the bunch. You can see actually now Holloway and Hedge are chasing, technically a chase there between the front and what is scored as the back of the bunch. Now the gap is really small. Of course Holloway will be able to shut that down, but that's what Klein is trying to do, just to make sure that these gaps can occur, because every time Holloway has to shut it down, that does play into Klein's strategy. Meanwhile, off the front, Danny Summerhill hitting out with a bit of an advantage here. So Summerhill going to jump out ahead with rider number 503. That's Daniel Brewer. So another Brewer out there, spelled completely differently, but still a Brewer rider. And Lynn trying to jump out. So Summerhill and Brewer doing their best to go across. Summerhill, if he can get a lap, that may actually threaten the standings there of Klein. So Hedgeberry sitting up there with 80-67 for Holloway. We'll do our best to get you guys all the complete updates as we get them here.
So your top 4 right now with 22 laps to go and 500 meters to go for the sprint. It's Hedgeberry leading with 80, Holloway with 67, Hoover with 54, and Brewer with 24.
Klein with those 28 points, it does put him up. That's nice to see him get there, but he's got to do a little bit more if he wants that podium. So your leaders, those are your two with Brewer and Summerhill. They're going to soak up 5 and 3. Hedgeberry Klein from the bunch going to go there. Summerhill gets the 5, Brewer with the 3. Now here come the cavalry with Hedgeberry in the 2, Klein with the 1, Hoover not scoring, Holloway also not scoring there. As those guys go across, Holloway changing the perspective on the race by putting his sunnies on his back instead of on the face. As that, when Holloway does that, this race is getting hard as the sweat coming down his face in buckets.
Okay, with our screens back, it's Summerhill picking up 5, Brewer picking up 3, Hedgeberry picking up 2, Klein picking up 1, and so your point totals with 10 of 12 sprints completed. Hedgeberry leading with 82, second place Holloway with 67, third place Hoover with 54, then Klein with 29.
So Klein going to try to focus on getting himself onto the podium, but man, that's a tall mountain to climb there with Gavin Hoover being the obstacle between himself and a medal. Hoover with the 54 to Klein's 29, and that's because Hoover, Holloway, and Hedgeberry have lapped one more time than Klein, and unfortunately Klein is now dragging Hoover around the track. So even if Klein were to get this lap, it would actually still benefit his enemies on the field of play here. So Klein's going to have to figure out if he can do something else to get himself onto the podium. Otherwise, he is just securing his 4th place. Let's get back to the leaders on the track. This is going to be Brewer and Summerhill still. They have not yet made their lap. They're currently in turn number 4. So this is Summerhill in the Texas Roadhouse kit and Brewer. Now, if Summerhill gets his full lap, whatever is scored as the field of play here at this time, then we're going to have maybe 20 points up for Summerhill. So here we look around. So we're going to let the officials tell us what's going on here, I guess, as we have our chase. So we've got Summerhill and Brewer. Now here is a chase with Klein, Hoover, Holloway, and a Hedgeberry. Another chase behind them, and a further chase behind that. All right, so there is your bell. Your leaders now with Summerhill and Brewer. And Larson, it looks like. So Larson was very prominent at the front of the race earlier. He's now down a lap on what Summerhill and Brewer are up to. Now the chase behind with Hedgeberry Klein. That's going to be an important sprint here. But Summerhill 5 max. And Brewer there with the 3. Now let's look here. Hedgeberry coming across for the 2. Holloway with the 1. And we're still looking at what we're scored as our field, I think, is right behind them, right? And so these guys are as a chase. So what Summerhill is now caught is now considered a chase, not the field, I believe. We'll get that confirmation from our officials here as this race is all over the place. Hedgeberry keeping an eye on Hoover, Holloway, and Klein. A little off pace there as Hoover now attacks again, trying to keep this pace high. Your leader here, Summerhill and Brewer, not yet getting their lap, as the field is at a different point than they are. So your leaders there are in 2. Where are they? Your leaders here coming through actually are over the start-finish line. So Summerhill and Brewer in this bunch here that is scored as being dropped. Here is your chase with Hoover, Hedgeberry, Klein, and Holloway, and now your field now coming through here. Here comes Summerhill. So Summerhill there with that bunch, and the chase now trying to come up behind him. Brewer on the front of the group that has Summerhill and Brewer. Summerhill being pushed up track there a little bit by the drop riders there, as now Brewer and Summerhill continue to hit out. There is your chase now coming across the field of the start-finish line. And we're dropping down to the final few laps. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your championship event. Your leaders of the bike race are in a chase group here on the field, but we've got Danny Summerhill and Larson doing their very best to catch this field here to give themselves one more lap on the bunch and get themselves onto the podium as we're looking at 3 laps to go, ladies and gentlemen. Summerhill and Brewer doing their very best to come across. They are your leaders on the track right now, but your leaders of the bike race, thanks to points accumulations, are going to be here in this bunch now crossing the start-finish line. As we got our leaders on the track with 2 laps to go, it's Summerhill and Brewer coming across. Can they make a full lap on the field before we get into the final kick to the line? Summerhill's going to try to give it a go if he can. At the very least, he wants to get 10 maximum points at the end of this race here. There's your bell. Summerhill is your leader. Summerhill wants those 10 max points. As he comes across, Brewer will be in that group. He has an opportunity for 6. Summerhill coming out of turn 3 with a phenomenal turn of speed, and Summerhill comes across the line to get 10 maximum points. He will take the final sprint of the bike race. Brewer here with the 6 in that blue and pink kit, and now the final sprint coming to the line with Hedgevery, and it looks like Carney getting up there, but Hedgevery takes the bike race and he gets himself the U.S. national title, ladies and gentlemen. Adrian Hedgevery, fantastic bike race, scoring in that last sprint there next to Jamie Carney, getting himself an individual national championship. Take a wave to the crowd at Hedgevery as we come through the start-finish line. Adrian Hedgevery, your U.S. national champion. We're getting our final points totals, but Hedgevery, fantastic ride here today, lapping the field 3 times to take the national title here, working with almost the entire field at one point or another as he lapped all of them more than anybody else. Great racing also by Daniel Holloway to lap the field twice. Gavin Hoover also lapping the field twice. That should be the roundout of your podium, but we're going to get your official point scores up to date here. Once we have the official tallies, we will let you know exactly what's happening. And do stick around for our podium presentation. We will award our sprinters who did their standing 500 and kilo efforts, both for elites and juniors. We have our para awards for the C1, C3, and C4, C5. And of course, the elite women's points overalls and our men's elite points overalls. This is the end of day number 6 of bike racing, the final event of our elite athletes USA Cycling Track Nationals competition, and what a competition it has been. These guys have been racing very valiantly over the past few weeks, few days. I cannot be weeks. That would be phenomenal. Few days, and a lot of guys taking and women taking fantastic results home. A lot of hardware going back to various tracks around the country. All right, so we have an official results here now, finally on our screens, and taking the bike race win will be Adrian Hedgevery, Daniel Holloway in second, and Gavin Hoover getting the bronze medal in that ride. Congratulations to those athletes. We'll get those scores up on our screen here for our viewers at home here momentarily. Once we have those scores up for our viewers at home, then we'll jump over to our award ceremony here at the VELO Sports Center. So over the past few days, myself and Alfred Nash have been talking about a whole lot of bike racing, and it has been absolutely fantastic here. A lot of American records have been broken over the past few days, and a lot of fantastic results here by both our elites and juniors coming to the forefront.
That's right. We saw a lot of juniors racing in the elite ranks, like Megan Jastrab and others. Crowned a couple of new national champions today: Mandy Marquardt, John Croom, Sofia Shuhei, Jean-Luc Contant-Galatello, Joseph Brenny and others, Christopher Murphy and others, Jennifer Valente, and of course Hadrian Hedgevery in that last race. We need them in the awards area as we're about to go to the awards ceremony for that. We've got one more day of racing. It will be the Para National Championship. So if you're in the Southern California area, I do encourage you to come out for that. That'll be starting tomorrow and they're for their second day. But we have had both time trials and sprint and mass start events for both sprinters and endurance. You got to see a lot of that today. Sprinting time trials, mass start, endurance events. Tomorrow we've got some individual pursuits as well for the paras. We had earlier for the elites and juniors, crowning lots of national champions over these last 6 days. Okay, so the final results have been posted. Daniel Summerhill picking up maximum points in that last sprint. Daniel Brewer of Triple X Racing picked up the 6, Jeremy Cattell 4, and Jamie Carney, crafty as ever, picking up another 2 points in the final sprint. So it was Adrian Hedgevery with 84 points. Second place, Daniel Holloway with 68. Third place, Gavin Hoover with 54. Fourth place, Shane Klein with 29. Fifth place, Daniel Summerhill with 24. Sixth place, Daniel Brewer of Triple X Racing with 12. Seventh, Jeremy Cattell with 6. Jamie Carney with 3. Peter Moore had 0 points, finished 9th. Brian Larson, 0 points. Brian Larson, 0 points, finishes 10th place. Robert Mayfield, 11th. with 0 points. 12th place, Alexander Winter and others down laps. We're just moments away from our awards ceremony.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for tuning into the USA Cycling's track national coverage. Thank you for joining us on Facebook and YouTube. You can rewatch these videos as well and share them with your friends. Please do so. It does help our sport throughout the season. And with that, my name is Gabe Lloyd. I've been joined by Alfred Nash, who's done a fantastic job throughout this entire national 6-day series here. We've been thrilled to host you here at the VELO Sports Center in Carson, California. We hope to see you next year right here in Los Angeles.